Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. I'm Oren, and tonight we are going to do a Just Chatting, where we talk about our Star Wars ranking, basically the movie ranking. Um, and Kylaris and I have talked for a while about doing some Just Chattings or like Lauren streams, as the community has called them. I called it Lauren and Kyloris earlier today, and Kylaris just about barfed. So so I didn't label it that. But we've talked about just having a chill night where we pick a topic, we all get together and talk about it. I've set up a little list for us to keep track of what like Kylaris and I kind of how we rank them, and then just have a conversation about why we would put the movies where they're at. And tonight we'd really like to hear from all of you as well. So definitely open to getting all of your opinions and discussing, and I think it's going to be really fun. So want to say hey to Swagger. Swagger says, so then Revenge of the Sith takes number one. For you, Swagger, for you. But that's cool. We should talk about that. I want to know more about why. I'm interested to know why for sure. So Murph is here. Hello, Murph. The correct answer is Murph. What do you think? We'll go with that. Kylar's just laughed. She's still getting ready a minute. She'll be here in a second, but she thought that was funny. Oh man. Um I tried to get some fun background stuff going tonight too. So I've got a slideshow looping of all the different like movie posters that I could find really quick, because like I got the kids in bed, at about 8:35, and I said to Kylaris, I mean, it was such a crazy day. I worked like almost an hour over what I normally do, and then we spent some time with the kids. We ate dinner, and then we actually watched the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, which I'm guessing I've never seen the original like 1980s, whatever 1970s holiday special. But from what I hear and the small snippets of it I've seen, the Lego one is way better. So, Revenge of the Sith is probably about me of my favorite films ever. It's probably to you one of your favorite films ever. That's fair. That's cool. See, that's interesting to me, and I feel like we'll get to why, because when we start talking about my ranking, and I'm sure I've said it before plenty of times, my favorite Star Wars movie is hands down my favorite movie of all time. And so that's interesting too. It's cool that like, Star Wars is that impactful, right? That many people can say, yeah, that's my favorite movie of all time. And yet it's not the best Star Wars film. Then get off here and go watch the original holiday special, because it'll be your number one for sure. Uh-huh. Sure, Murph. Sure. I've heard about how cringy it is. I've heard how absolutely cringy it is. So more like Murph nerd. Murph herder. More like Murph. Anyway, yeah, I tried to get some cool movie posters from all the different movies. It was a little bit easier to find um movie posters for the more recent films, which really doesn't surprise me, right? Like it's kind of a lot easier to distribute, to like, to distribute those things. A lot more money I think goes into it nowadays um than from the originals. So I think like Revenge of the Sith and gosh, The Last Jedi, I think, I can't remember, might have some of the most unique uh unique, the most number of unique posters that were like legit movie posters. So I tried to get those. I got them cycling in the background. I don't have Kylaris on here, which is actually really good, because give me one second, I'm in the wrong. I want it to be a surprise.
Oh.
Second. There she is. I watched her walk by in a in a Captain Phasma mask with a mug of coffee.
Which is gonna improve impossible for is my mic on the whole time? I think it is.
Yeah.
It's gonna prove impossible to drink that with this mask on. Let me turn on my push to talk.
I gotta find the right spot here for the movie posters so that we're not totally
You
taking
were
up
always
the whole
scum.
thing. Yeah, you always scum. I'm gonna have to get. I didn't get a drink. What happened? Did it poke you in the eye?
Yeah, right in the eyeball.
Oh yikes!
It's like mesh. I don't know.
Hey, Selfish Lock, how you doing? Looking dapper. That's funny. So yeah, I figured we'd have that running in the background, and then also I made a little list for Kylaris and I to jot down what our
Selfish Lock says, "I'm here, Leia."
Leia. See if we line that up a little bit.
Ooh, that's epic.
What's epic?
The
list.
No, the movie poster behind my head, not your stupid list.
Let me get this.
Yes, drawing while just chatting. I'm in favor. Hey, Crumbs, what's up?
Hey, Crumbs. How you doing?
Why can't I hear myself so much? Is your mic super hot?
I don't know. It's open. Lined up.
Nice to officially meet me. Was I not on camera the last time you came in? Maybe I wasn't.
I don't know.
Well, hello.
Crumbs, how are you? What's going on? Locke, how are you doing?
Yeah. Where's the Murph column?
Wait,
you guys are all in charge
laugh.
of keeping your own column at home.
Ooh. I'm here.
The night I was sick. Oh, yeah, maybe that was that during the last Fallen Order stream?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's right, because Crumbs came in for the last Fallen Order stream, and you were off camera. Yeah, that's right. Crumbs, Kylaris, Crumbs. No.
Right. Hot mic. Are you really hearing an echo? Because I kind of am.
Wonder what I can do about that. That's always a pain. The Luke Skywalker. the Luke Skywalker. I'm drawing while just chatting. Awesome. Cool. Get ready, Locke. Get ready to have a conversation. We're going to do some discussion. Ooh. Murph. Drawing the portrait for Orin and Kylaris. Yes. Awesome. It's going to look so good. I think it was the night you were sick. Yeah. Doing good. We're doing good, Crumbs. Thanks. Glad to hear you're doing well. Yeah, we're, I was saying just a minute ago, I kind of had a long day at work, which was okay because I was doing Excel stuff and making my job easier by building tools to do some of the heavy, tedious lifting for me, which is kind of my MO. And so I was trying to get some stuff done, stayed a little bit late, had dinner, watched the Star Wars Lego holiday special with the kids because they thought it was hilarious and fun. So that was cool. And then we got the kids in bed and I was just setting this up and getting the stream going. So yeah, doing pretty good. Hey, Tuna. I don't even need to list the others, mate. Swagger, are you a Star Wars fan or not? What do you mean you don't have to list the others?
Since I've been thinking about what my ranking is, I don't even know if I'm a Star Wars fan.
Well, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna discuss.
Honestly, I'm the type of Star Wars fan where I feel like my ranking could change day by day. Like, and it's all so apples and oranges to me. Like, I don't know how to compare it to each other. It's very hard for me because I'm not like a nostalgic old school purist at all. I'm very like, I have taken them all for what they are, and I'm, like, so torn on even what my order is. I don't know how it's gonna even turn out tonight.
Orin, we know. Am I a Star Wars fan? Did I say
Right?
did I
We're
say
all gonna get very
tuna?
introspective
I
tonight.
know we are. It's gonna be great. So yeah, I again just for everybody who's coming a little bit after my intro, I won't make it long, but you know, Kyle Larson and I have talked about doing just chatting for a while now, and just hanging out, picking a topic, having a conversation with everybody. And now with like Jedi Fallen Order's over, which makes me really sad. Let's start ranking Star Wars games next. That would be quite the list. And Fallen Order would be up there for me, I think. But you know, now that's over, and we're kind of moving from Sea of Thieves being a regular thing. So we wanted to give this a try, right? And I was saying we've joked around about calling it Lauren. I think like Lorein. And
Yes.
Murph I think came up with that, which was fun. But then I said to Kylaris today, I was like, we could call it Lauren and Kyloris, and she was like, no.
Okay, here's the thing. Not only does that sound disgusting, but also I don't think I've earned the title of lore when it comes to Star Wars. Like, I'm just your standard middle of the road fan. So it's not like you're gonna ask me the most intricate like trivia question and I'm gonna just be able to pull that out of nowhere. But
Yeah.
maybe you never know. I've had a lot of tutelage from my cohort here.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So when Kylaris and I started dating, you know, a lot of my fandom got passed on to her. Video games for one. She wasn't much of a gamer before that. She had a Sega Genesis way back in the day and played some like, you know, Sega Aladdin and things, but like didn't really game much. And then I had her try EverQuest. I got her into World of Warcraft. The first game we ever played was the original Xbox Lord of the Rings War in the North. We loved that. We beat that in like a weekend or two. You know, like got her into Halo. Got her into what was it? Was it Jedi Outcast or was it Academy that you got?
I'm pretty sure it was Academy.
I think it was Academy. So like she got like the next Christmas she asked for an Xbox, and she got an Xbox and then got all these games and stuff like that. So even when I would go see her at college, which was about 45 minutes from where I lived, we play a bunch of games. But one of the things that that I kind of got her into was Star Wars, and she's like, "Yeah, I saw some of them. I fell asleep in the theater," and I'm like,
Okay, no. Okay, there's a little more context to that story because I went with like on like an all-nighter like youth group type thing, and one of the things it was like when the original trilogy got re-released into the theaters back in like when was that, the 90s? And so it was like after midnight type of viewing, and I was like, what is this Space Wars? Like I was just out, you know, because it was sleepy time and I wasn't there. It was like that's what everyone was going to. It's not like I was like hunting down the next new release in the theater in my cosplay.
so
So yes, I did fall asleep in the theater watching the original
Right.
trilogy. Next.
I'm trying to catch up on chat here.
Horrible background story on me.
But so here's what happens, right? So we start dating, and I'm like, yeah, I'm really into Star Wars too, and she's like, yeah, I fell asleep, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and so I let her borrow one of my most prized possessions, and I'm not much of a I'm not I know I'm not much of a possessions person. I don't like equate memories to things, and I
You're
don't.
about to make us sound really old too when you tell this story.
Yeah. Well, so back in the day when I was a kid, like maybe about 10 or something like that, I got the Star Wars original trilogy VHS box set. VHS. Oh, that was terrible.
Out there that has the windy tapes inside.
Yeah, you actually had to hit the rewind button to watch it again. But anyway, so I let her borrow that, and then she calls me one night and says from college, and she says, so my VCR ate one of your Star Wars VHS tapes, and I said, which one? And I'm sitting there thinking, please don't let it be Empire. Please don't let it be Empire. it was Empire, and I was like, no. And that was before Darth Vader actually says no at the end of Return of the Jedi. And so it's like it was the original cut, but they were like remastered.
You were the original no. Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say.
George heard me react to that and went, wow, I can feel the pain. I need to put that into Star Wars.
Yeah, real quick, Crumbs, that's exactly how Oren would feel lending out his Harry Potter books. It doesn't happen. Actually, you did lend one to your sister, didn't you? And it came back with super binding damage.
Yeah. Yep.
Same.
That looks like it's pronounced Lorraine. Hey, Raccoon, how you doing? What is going on?
As usual, Oren's super behind in the chat.
I know, I'm way behind. I get talking, man, and I just I lose chat. Ahsoka Tano. Are we ranking Ahsoka? Yeah, no spoilers, Raccoon. No spoilers.
Anyway, so yes, I did go see. I don't know if I saw all 3 prequels in the theater. I'm not sure about Phantom Menace. I can't remember how old I was exactly, and if I actually went to see that, or if I saw that on like VHS rental, and then in preparation for seeing episode 2 or something like that. But I definitely saw 2 and 3 in the theater. And what's really funny is I remember, I think my friend Kim, if you guys know Kim / Valia, she and I were like, we need to have a Star Wars marathon and get all caught up to go see. It was probably episode 2, and so we had watched them all on VHS probably at the time, and we're like, okay, we're gonna go see the next one, and then we were like sitting eating at a restaurant beforehand. We're like, the Star Wars movie is like really important to get there on time, because if you miss the opening scroll, you're like, what the heck is going on? And so I remember we got there, and of course it was like a long line, and through like getting in and everything, we were walking into the actual theater to go to our seats, and we hear the beginning notes of Star Wars main theme music, and we're like, oh my gosh, like we had to go running into the theater because we're like, what's happening, we're gonna miss it. And so we had to watch the scroll like before we actually got to our seats, because we're like, oh my gosh. But yeah, so I do have theater experiences with almost all of them.
I have seen them all in theaters. And I mean not the original, because I think no,
that's something we weren't alive for.
Yeah, like well, I was alive for Return of the Jedi.
Oh, I was alive for Return of the Jedi,
but too. I was like
2 weeks old.
I was like 5 months old. So like, yeah, Return of the Jedi came out in 1983. I think May 1983, and I
also came out in 1983.
in May 1983.
Anyway.
But anyway, yeah. But I got to see the reimagined or the remastered in the theaters when they released like the extended.
Oh man,
edited.
That's a whole other topic.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, it is. The edited versions of Star Wars. You kids, you don't even know what real Star Wars is. And then I saw all the prequels in theater. My brother and I camped out for at least 2 of them, I think. At least 2 of them. And like one of them, we were like 3rd in line. It was so cool. We went to the midnight release. It was a lot of fun. So, and then, and saw all the sequels, of course. I should clarify, I've seen the special editions of the original trilogy and everything that followed in theaters multiple times. Word Murph, for sure. EY also came out in 1983. I know, she's disgusting. Family friendly.
Thank you, that is.
Right.
You guys are all the disgusting ones.
But anyways. But yeah, so I mean, like, so that was essentially for Kylaris, that was kind of the start of her fandom. And I think one of the things that we've kind of done as a couple is, like, again, she's kind of latched onto the fandoms that I've been involved in, and I've just poured all of this information to her, and then like,
yeah,
more things than she probably even cared about, but
well, yeah. And so, we watched them all. Like you said, I got my own Xbox because I got all into console gaming, and I just owned at Battlefront and Battlefront 2 original. Like those were the ones.
1987 here, best year ever, Spaceballs, Predator, etc. Word. Did you guys already rank the movies? We haven't, Tuna.
No,
So
man, we just sit and talk.
we're gonna sit and talk about it. And one of the places we thought we'd start is actually ranking original trilogy prequels and sequels as trilogies.
Rank the trilogies.
Rank the trilogies. Yep, and then from there kind of rank our individual movies. I did leave space for Solo and for Rogue One. So so we can put those in too. But yeah, we wanted to talk about it. We wanted to actually have the discussion on stream, get you guys' thoughts, where it lands for you. And so yeah, we definitely want to hear what you guys think. So Crumbs said 1/25th of the way to a cooking stream. Woo, Crumbs.
The good news on that is we do have a current cooking stream redemption in process, and we will be lining that up for very soon. We haven't set a date yet, but it could be as soon as this weekend or maybe the one after. We have to nail down our date, but we have a plan, and it's going to be Chinese in theme.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That was redeemed by Canadian.
Yeah. Yep. So we're getting that planned out. Kylar's got a chance to talk to Kenobian our morning, his after or evening. So that worked out pretty well. And yeah, we'll get that thing set up and going and let you all know what the deets are on that. So so yeah, let's start with ranking the trilogies. I feel like I already know what my number one is.
I think everyone knows what your number one is.
But maybe let's start with least favorite. I say we start from the bottom up.
I'm gonna be so bad at this. You guys, I'm already an indecisive person at heart anyway, and I don't know how I'm going to decide between some of these. Chinese.
Do you want me to go first, or do you want?
Yeah, sure, go.
Okay.
Because
my least favorite trilogy, and this is nuanced, is the sequel trilogy, and that's going to be contentious, I think.
No, I feel like you're speaking as a very standard classic Star Wars fan.
And I mean, like that's with the caveat I got to throw out here that no matter how I rank them, there's something about every Star Wars movie that I like, and everything about each era that I like and I appreciate. But yeah, one of the big things for me. Woo, two what?
Maybe his least is 2.
It's okay if you, oh yeah. It's okay if you say prequels for bottom. Our friendship is over. It's okay if you say prequels for bottom. Our friendship is over. I can't wait to watch this go down. I know, for real. So so 4 trilogies. One. My big head's in the way.
Trilogies?
Hold on.
Did you say 4 trilogies?
No, for my trilogies.
Oh, I was like really confused for a second. I'm like, have I missed 3 movies?
That's fair. I'm trying to set this up really quick so we can like slide over. 1 second.
I'm feeling personally attacked by that Darth Vader poster.
Oh no, what'd I do? Oh no, what'd I do? Give me 1 second. I wish we could play the music. Okay. So trilogies. I'm definitely gonna say my least. My least favorite is the sequel trilogy. I can't type tonight. And again, here's my deal with the sequel trilogy. The big thing for me is just how contentious they are. I hate how divided the sequel trilogy has made the fan base. It has never felt this chaotic to me. And I've been around for a lot of Star Wars, right? And so like when it was announced that Disney was going to take over Star Wars, I said, you know, people were like, you know, Matt, are you freaking out? And I was like, no, because here's the deal. If anybody's going to do it and do it well and put a lot of really creative, awesome minds to the task, who probably love Star Wars, it's going to be Disney. And they have the money to back that, the money and the experience to back that, right? And then they got people in charge of this stuff that just really wanted to piss everybody off. I feel like they made all the wrong decisions. And again, that's not to say that there aren't good things about it. There are moments, especially in Rise of Skywalker, there are moments that like I get chills, you know what I mean? And actually in all of them, I think there are key moments that I love about them and I get chills. And you know, there are things that were done well, but they made so many stupid choices in my opinion, and it has split the fan base to the point where like it almost feels kind of hard for me to get to like be excited about something new Star Wars. I'm really at odds with myself for that reason alone. I think I put that at the bottom of my trilogy list. I can't wait to watch this go down. Well, have I missed 3 movies? You should. You should. He's about to crush your head. Wait, what's happening?
Just stay behind if
Oh,
you're gonna
okay.
be behind.
Sequel trilogy lacks cohesion and a clear direction. Could have done something brilliant that wasn't a war between rebooting series, fan service, and totally new directions. Oh, dude, for real. And like Rian Johnson is quoted like earlier in his career saying he would love to take something so loved and so followed and literally split the fan base just to see how it all went down. You know what I mean? Like he's like, I want to put things in there that divide people on the on you know on a an IP, an intellectual property. And I'm like, Barf, why would you do that? Why would you do that? We have such a great thing going here.
Some people are pot stirrers.
It could have been so good. It really could have. Like the potential was there. They were handed, I mean, like, they got Star Wars. It's Star Wars. You just got handed a golden ticket. Don't be stupid with that golden ticket. You know what I mean? Don't be, super blasé about it. Don't be flippant with it. Do something incredible. Be smart with that golden ticket, right? And they didn't. Like they didn't. Not as a whole. Not in the whole thing. Thanks. I'm too lazy tonight to re-explain my chat from earlier. I'm sorry, Dan. I'm sorry. They murdered Finn's character. They gutted Finn's character, and I've never been so upset about a character progression and where they took it. Finn was incredible. Love Finn. I would have loved if they would have kept the main spotlight on Finn. What an incredible perspective. So, but anyways, Kylaris, what you thinking?
Oh man, I'm sitting here trying to figure it out. Gosh, I mean, the more and more I think about it, my third place would probably have to be.
I know what you're gonna say.
What?
You're gonna say the original trilogy.
Yeah, it is my third place.
Why?
Okay.
And I feel like that's such an unpopular opinion to like even utter in a Star Wars community. But so again, I don't come from, I have all these nostalgic feels about it, and I grew up watching it as a kid and things like that. Just that's the disclaimer. So in seeing them all, it's almost like in the same way that I can't stomach playing EverQuest when I started on World of Warcraft. Like
Yeah.
it's just so old and I don't have any nostalgia for it that I'm like, and while I have complete respect for it, for what it did in, cinema history and movie making and special effects and all that stuff, and that it laid the basis for an epic story. Yeah, friendship over. You can come at me. And anyway, so it's all great, but sometimes I just can't get past the hokiness, the like really cheesy. Some of the acting is like, and I mean, even just like, you know, I'm spoiled by the lightsaber battles of the modern era and things like that. So they just all seem kind of lackluster to me when I consumed them all. Like, say, for example, I probably remember consuming episodes 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, and 3 in like pretty quick succession. So I had a lot of like new stuff to compare it to. And I didn't really get to appreciate the original trilogy for like, this is all the Star Wars there is, and how cool is it? You know, like I never just had um time to like let that sink in and be like, wow, Star Wars is really cool. I was like, oh, I've got 6 movies, and I'm like, those ones seem kind of a little bit old and clunky, you know?
That's fair.
Those are my
I
reasons.
can remember being sick and laying on the living room couch, and that was my thing. When I was sick, I would, and home from school, I would watch all the Star Wars movies. And I remember sitting there, laying on the couch. I think my mom had got me like some 7 Up, like I was real sick. And so, like, that was kind of the thing. My stomach was upset. So she gave me 7 Up and 7 Up and toast or something like that. I had a rag on my head for the fever, and I'm watching A New Hope, and my dad sat down in the chair with me because he's being a good dad. I'm sick. He's hanging around. He's being available and stuff. And he's just kind of sitting there watching with me, not saying much. And at one point, I can't remember if it's like Leia being like, if money is all that you care about, then whatever. And if money's what you love, then blah. I don't remember. But he just kind of looks at the TV, and he says, "Who talks like this?" And it was like it totally took me out of like Star Wars, and I was so used to him and into him and everything. I never really thought about it. I started watching when I was like at least, I mean, 5-ish, somewhere around there, and I was like, huh, yeah, who does talk like that? And I'm like, dang it, Dad, you took just that one little bit of, you know, but he's right, and I can see that. Not being someone who grew up with them and then coming into it, I can see, especially A New Hope. It's a little hokey. It's a little hokey. Hi, Mom.
Everything's fine.
Orange sick days were for Star Wars and Indiana Jones marathons. Yeah, I actually I saw Indiana Jones, a couple of them on like TBS back in the day and stuff when it was on then, but I wasn't really much of an Indiana Jones fan until I was a little bit older. So it was all Star Wars for me. So I think I give you a New Hope, though that one has its moments. Yeah,
I just
that I
read
love.
Echo Moose 7. Oh, hi, Mariah.
Hey, Mariah.
Thank you for coming in with your unpopular opinions and making me feel not singled out.
That's fair. 7 Up when you feel sick, Gatorade is the way to go. I don't even know if I had Gatorade until I was a little bit.
It was the 80s.
It was
Your
80s.
mom said there was no Gatorade back then.
Yeah. Yep. Crumbs, we old. but yeah, so my mom would give me 7 Up, and I mean it was the greatest, and it helped. So whether it was a placebo or
Yeah.
what, but I think it was originally made as like kind of a stomach medicine, and they just happen to make it taste awesome. So if money's all you love, then that's what you'll receive. Yep, for sure. Unpopular opinion, I really enjoyed Jar Jar Binks as a kid. I kind of don't blame you. Jar Jar was kind of made for that age group,
Yeah, I think ginger ale is we did too, but it's like along the same lines as clear sodas.
Oh, I just lulled at Echo Moo. I meant to. I was laughing at. Oh yeah, I forget that not everyone is my age. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Because you can see my face and all this gray. So I appreciate you forgetting I'm not your age. But anyways,
Let's remember though that Echo Moo is a child of the 90s, and therefore she was probably much younger when she first was introduced to Jar Jar Binks, and I could see where a kid would think that they were really funny and entertaining, and I think it was more adults that found him very annoying.
yeah. Yep.
So I think she gets a pass for that as well.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, Murph said it. Second ranked trilogy. Moving along. Because we still got to get to movies and stuff too. Not that we're rushing. We've only been going about a half an hour. Oh. Murph's like,
Well, and I want to all of yours too. If you didn't say it already,
Yeah,
tell us
yeah.
what your the chat.
Yeah, what do you guys think? What's your least favorite Star Wars trilogy? We wants to know.
And I'll be thinking about my number
I
2.
should have like made a poll, you know? I should have made a poll that everybody could like vote on and
Mhm.
stuff, but we got to move along before I fall asleep. I was going to make a joke about that.
This isn't entertaining enough. No. Yeah, right. Okay. What's your second? You guys can still put your least favorites or your entire like trilogy ranking in the chat. I don't care.
I mean, so essentially, you know, we're going to know first so I can fill that in, but we'll, yeah. Oh, Murph says sequels least. Interesting.
So same as you.
Yeah, interesting, Murph. Because I mean, like, you know, when the sequels came out, you like the first sequel, you had to have been single digits at that point,
Single
or
digits of what?
like around 10 age
For what?
for like Phantom. When did Phantom Menace come out? Yeah,
Um, I
late
don't know.
90s.
Oh, he said he was born in 87.
Yeah.
So, young teen.
Prequel second. Oh, okay.
Hello, human
Visitor. Hello, how are you? Definitely Star Wars fan here. Do we have to roll up an entire trilogy? Yeah, so we're
starting with ranking the trilogies 1, 2, and 3, and then we're gonna break it down into 1 through 11, counting the extra 2 movies.
Yeah.
We're just starting here because I have no idea what my ranking is going to be, and I feel like it's going to help me process it a little bit.
Dude, I was 12 when The Phantom Menace came out. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. So, I mean, like, it's interesting to me that the prequels are your least favorite then, but I guess, like, as you get older...
No, he said the sequels are his least favorite.
Oh, the sequels? I thought he said prequels.
Sequels least.
And prequels second. Sorry, my bad. Yeah. Interesting.
I'm feeling like you and Murph are...
Probably, yeah. Yeah, we're the same.
And I'm not surprised. Like I said, I think of you both as classic Star Wars standard fans.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like that, I think if anyone's like a hardcore, I've been into Star Wars for a long time, that's their order.
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
I mean, and of course there's exceptions, but yeah.
Crumb said first prequels. Crumb started with number 1 right away because I think she knew exactly what her number 1 was going to be. Original and sequels least. This is from watching them each once. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's fair that, like, you know, especially if you're coming into it newer, which I think you've told us, coming into it newer, and like our nephews too. Our oldest nephew is what? He's 19, 18. And the sequels are his favorite. And that was interesting to me, and I think that's a little bit of a generational thing, you know what I mean? So, OG and sequels least. Gotcha, cool. I'd rank trilogies 3, sequels 7, 8, 9, prequels 1, 2, and 3, and then original trilogy 4, 5, and 6.
I don't think those are necessarily his rankings with it. He's just saying what they are.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know.
Right.
Selfish Sock says the style of acting in prequels makes it my least favorite. There's a lot of cringe in there.
Yeah. Yep. The way he wrote it was to be like old movies. Yeah, like the original trilogy. They were written as like I think his entire concept, like to wrap it all up into one, you know, one sentence, was Westerns in space. So
yeah. Hey, Cam Newton.
Hey, Cam, how are ya?
We're just chatting Star Wars, man.
We're talking to Star Wars. We're ranking them. Tough one. 1 through 3 or 7 through 9 as a least favorite. There's certainly better episodes than others in there, for sure. And that's what's hard, human. Like, they all have their moments, good and bad. And so, like, it's hard to wrap them all into, like, packages like that, you know? Yeah. I was clarifying the numbers in sequel trilogy, prequel trilogy, original trilogy, because at first Oren didn't catch my meaning of the trilogy order.
Yeah, I meant, and
sorry.
I was like, what are you talking about with prequels?
I end up reading it like
plug in your answers because we know what they are.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't think the sequels could be my favorite. I still see the obvious problems there. Yeah, that's fair.
And that brings up a really good point for me, Crumbs, because I'm kind of actually really torn between what's my number 2 and number 1 between prequels and sequels because of, like, the reasons you guys have mentioned, like, there's some cringy acting in the prequels and but it is a really solid story, and something I really like about the prequels is that you get to see the rise and the plan of Palpatine
Mm.
and the mastermind like groundwork laid out. And because I think for me, like in the original trilogies, he was just some like creepy shriveled old guy, and I'm like, who is this villain? And then like they
Why is he
actually had
so
to teach him
scary?
come from, the Senate and all that, and it was just like, and then become the Senate. Um, I thought that it was like very fleshed out and like tons of character development. Obviously, character development with where does Darth Vader come from? Like there's a lot of for being an origin story. I think like that's its saving grace to me that it could propel it to number one. But honestly, like I really, really liked the sequels as well. Like for me, I thought they were just epic movie going experiences. And I also see all the problems and failures and why you put that in there?
Wait, didn't you say that was your rank?
No, I'm still talking it
Oh,
out.
okay, okay, okay.
I said put yours in because we know yours.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, um, I yeah, there was a lot of potential there, and they could have made them even that much better if the story had been more well done and if they hadn't just thrown out some characters that were really good. Um, and the whole thing with the changing directors and how it got all disjointed, like there's a lot wrong with it. And so that I think would be all that would drop it to number 2 for me potentially because otherwise every single one of those I went to, I was like, I laughed, I cried, I gasped, I like, it was like a whole like experience for me and I thought it was like so entertaining. Whereas this is the same person that fell asleep during the original trilogy in the theaters at one
Yeah.
point. So I'm like, it's hard for me because one's more of an experience and one's more well structured and a great origin story. Like I'm like very much tied right now.
It's tough. I mean, it's tough, and again, I can see why. Like visually, those two trilogies are epic, right? I thought it was really interesting. Like one of the things I love about the prequels is the visuals, right? I've talked about on stream how even Otto Gunga and the moment where they first came over that underwater ridge to see that city, and it's simplistic almost, but it was just such a cool atmosphere. Some of the scenes going into Coruscant when they're flying in space into Coruscant, things like that. Coruscant itself is just epic. It felt completely epic to me, and I can understand why. It's like this was, and they had a reason for it too. They said like, listen, the original trilogy, not only did we not have the tech, we had to make the visual tech, and it's from the 70s and the
I totally
80s,
respect that.
you
I
know but then now you've got things they could do for the prequels and the sequels that they couldn't do before. And their reasoning for, they said, even in world or in universe, the prequel trilogy is supposed to be at the height of the Republic, right? They've got all this stuff that's lavish. They've got all of these things, ships looked prettier because they had the money to do that. Whereas during the Empire, everything went really utilitarian and all the money was feeding the war machine, and they didn't have any reason to make anything look good. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, if you're outside of the Empire, the poverty and the things being scrapped together and stuff like that. So there's an in-universe reason to that too. But like coming into it, I can see where like the prequels just look better.
Yeah, Murph, I already brought that up that I have complete respect for what they did with special effects and like movie history and how important they actually were. I totally get it, but that doesn't mean I don't like the like shinier polished stuff better. I mean, that's just the spoiled like after effect of what they did. I know. I'm very sorry that we haven't completely watched Clone Wars yet. We
Yeah, we
watched
need to.
very little, so we're gonna get on it. What say I? Honestly, I'm having a hard time because it's like on paper, I feel like I should give number 1 to prequels because of the story and the origin of it. But if you ask me like, "Hey, what movie do you feel like watching right now?" I'd probably be more inclined to be entertained by a sequel movie. So I don't know what that means. Like, I feel like the prequels are probably better, but I kinda like watching the sequels better. I don't know.
I would say in that regard, pick the trilogy that you would be more likely to sit down and watch.
Am I allowed to have a tie? It's, like, so close. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go prequels 1, sequels 2, but it's
Nice. Interesting.
and I didn't know what any of these answers were gonna be before this moment either, so
Right. We were going to sit down and discuss them a little bit ahead of time. But we didn't, and then we figured it would be a lot more fun to just talk it out on stream. Star Wars Clone Wars really helps build the journey of the dark side for Anakin, which wasn't very believable in the movies. It helps immensely. I felt that way about the prequel books too. The prequel books did a lot for me going into the movies. So, it added quite a bit of additional information, which is sad because to make them work almost, story-wise, I needed this outside source, which I tend to like books better anyways, but it's Star Wars. But the effects in the original trilogy were unprecedented in film, which is important to remember.
yeah, you're
Absolutely. Yeah, I have an appreciation for that.
what does green lightsaber mean?
Oh, I don't know. They started adding meanings to it. They started making kyber crystals semi-sentient, because the kyber crystal chooses the Padawan Obi-Wan. The confusion I had going into the original trilogy, knowing that some guy was some other guy's dad, really just threw me off. Maybe if I watched them again, I'd enjoy them more since I'd have an idea of what was actually going on. That's fair, Crumbs. And that's something we've started showing our kids Star Wars. And I said we should start with the original trilogy. George started with the original trilogy with 4, 5, and 6 on purpose. And he thought it was more compelling to get Luke's story and Luke's learning that Darth Vader is actually his dad, Anakin, and then going back and telling Anakin's story. He thought that that was more compelling. And I agree. I think there's more opportunity for moments if you watch it in that order.
I do like the main story, origin story, and then beyond.
Yeah. Yeah, Cam, green lightsaber, I have no idea. I haven't looked into that much because back in the day it was just the colored crystal kyber crystal that they got. And this whole thing about the Sith now bleeding kyber crystals red is a new concept too, because in the original idea was the Sith couldn't get kyber crystals like the Jedi could. The Jedi basically had a monopoly on kyber crystals. And the Sith then had to make synthetic crystals. They figured out how to make synthetic ones, and so the red crystals never existed in nature. They didn't develop, so the Jedi didn't have them. Whereas the synthetic ones, they couldn't get them in different colors. They came out red, and so the Sith all had red lightsabers. So that to me is a more satisfying reason than the Harry Potter reason, but hey, sometimes you gotta throw people a bone or something. I don't know. Like, it just felt very like, oh, Harry Potter's popular and we're trying to do some new stuff with Star Wars. So
Right. Yeah. The saber or the kyber crystal chooses the wizard, Harry.
yeah, I've
Um,
made that joke a bunch.
right. Yeah, Murph, I've heard of watching it in that way. 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6. Like, because then you still get
Hmm.
the reveals, but you get the backstory as well. Because it would be hard to start at 1 and then still have the same, like, "Luke, I'm your father" moment, you know? And I wouldn't wanna, like, take that away from somebody. Um, yeah, the way George planned honestly, I would be really interested to know what George's actual plans were for 7, 8, and 9, and also kind of like what would have become of even episode 8 and 9 if things had gone differently in the direction that they started with 7. You know, like if the director shenanigans hadn't taken place, what would have happened in 8? And then like even in 9, like what would have happened if they'd still been able to use Carrie Fisher more? And like there's so many like what ifs of like what the story could have been that we'll like never know. And that bugs me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
I saw first I want to say I think I saw the original trilogy first, but like at the time I was very like, what is this? And I saw them like I don't even know what order I saw them in. I would like catch, episode 4 on like Saturday afternoon TV once in a while. And then I saw them in the theater when they got remastered. But I still like didn't know like I wasn't that into it. And then I was saying I think Kim and I like rented them all and watch them going into like I don't know, seeing episode 2 in the theater or something. So we kind of like refreshed ourselves on the whole thing to know what was happening in the prequels. But like I kind of mostly consumed 4, 5, and 6, and then the prequels like right away after that. Like it wasn't like I had a long time to savor the originals.
Yeah, that's I don't even know. Even like the idea of watching 4 or 5 and then jumping to 1, 2, and 3. Like I kind of get it, but I'm more of a watch them in order kind of person, so I would have a hard time with that. Uh I can't read books out of order and stuff. And it's interesting because they are out of order, right? But like that's a pretty common storytelling tactic. Not tactic, but like, method is deciding where the biggest impact is you're gonna make the biggest impact right at the beginning, right? Where do we start this story? Because a lot of writers, movies, books, whatever, they'll have so much backstory, right? And so the idea of where to start isn't always super crystal clear, and so it sometimes takes a little bit of deliberate thought to figure out where do I start this, and then how do I weave in that backstory. How do I weave in the origin stuff? Do I weave it in flashbacks? Do I let somebody discover those things versus like, or via like, historical documents, or, they saw a video or whatever. How do you get the knowledge to the reader? Or do you write this era and then you go back and tell the origin story? And that happens a lot. So I see why George did that. You know what I mean? And it makes sense to me. And the way that they're built, like that reveal that Darth Vader is Luke's father, you wouldn't get that. Like I remember the kids when we showed them Empire, they gasped. Like both of our children who are fairly young, they gasped. Like especially M. M was like, "Oh, is he really his dad?" And I'm like, "I don't know. We're gonna have to keep watching to find out." You know what I mean? He says he is, and it was just this huge moment. And if you watched 1, 2, and 3 before that, you would know. It would be spoiled. Yeah. So I
but
like
that's not the thing to do. Like you
yeah, no, I know.
Have the reveal and then be like, well, I guess you would know that he wasn't lying.
Some people just say watch it in numerical order, is kind of what I'm getting at. But yeah. When I come to any series of movies, always watch in order of release. Star Wars, Marvel, whatever it feels wrong to do it any other way. I feel like that's the way they intended everyone to experience it. So yeah, and there's foreshadowing. There's usually a lot of foreshadowing and stuff too. So my main problems with 1, 2, and 3 is that George is arguably not really a great director. He's an amazing visionary, world builder, and producer, but not necessarily director. Human, you could not have said that any better. You couldn't have said that any better. Absolutely. George needs a team of people to say to him, no, that doesn't work. Right? And he didn't get that as much with the prequels. He had
please direct Hayden Christensen on his acting.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly, like him alone and him and like Anakin and Padme's love story of creepiness, like it's almost enough to demote the prequel trilogy for me. Like it almost kills the whole thing. Because I'm like, what is this weird like? It just has no progression. It's like creepy stalker infatuation to married true love forever. Like, there's no connectors. Like,
Yeah.
if I was Padme, I'd be like, what the crap?
Yep.
Anyway, that's another thing.
It was the will of the Force. But that's George was way too involved in the actual script writing. He was way too involved in the actual directing. I think, again, like Human said, as a visionary, fantastic. I mean, the vision, coming up with the general idea, coming up with the characters and stuff, like he's so good at that. And you look at the original trilogy and you can see like he did such a bang up job. But they say too that a lot of that was because of the editing as well. He didn't do the editing then. His then wife was on the team of editors and stuff, and I think she and the rest of the editing team knew very well kind of what he was going for. Not exactly what he wanted, but what he was going for, working toward, and they edited it in such a great way. So on that note, let's go ahead and put episode 2 at the bottom of the list here. Also, what was their age difference? 8 years?
Oh, I guess 6.
I think it was.
No, it can't be 8.
It was 8
wasn't
or
she like 14?
14, and he was what?
He was 6.
Was he 8?
I was 8. That's why I guess.
Oh, 8 and
6
14. Yeah, that's fair. But at the same time, episodes 1, 2, and 3 are technically independent films since George literally paid for them out of his own pocket. So he did whatever he wanted. Yeah. But he should have known. Like, he should have known after working on the originals. He should have known, I'm better with a team. I mean, I guess that's, a retrospect thing, but like, he's better with a team to tell him, no, this doesn't work. You know what I mean? Than to do most of that himself. I imagine that's just a documentary of George Lucas courting a woman back in the day. Jeez. But anyway, so I gotta put the original trilogy at the top for me.
Oh, no one's surprised. You don't even need to complain.
Yeah, well, I mean, just because not only did I grow up with them, I don't want that to be my only reason, because like when I think of Star Wars, that's what I think of primarily first, but really because of the characters, because of the journeys that they go on, and because of the reveals, the big reveals and all of that. Those 3 things put that to the top for me. Luke's journey is incredible. Darth Vader's journey is, I would dare to say, better. Darth Vader for a long time, like, if not still, ranked the number 1 villain of all time, you know what I mean? And I think that's because he's got a lot of depth. He has a lot of layers. I love Harry Potter. Harry Potter are my favorite books, hands down. But Lord Voldemort is a very standard villain in a lot of ways. He's not super interesting. There isn't a whole lot to his backstory. You know what I mean? There's some things, but it's kind of like,
what's the word? Like motive. Like
yeah.
That evil. Like.
Like it's kind of alluded to. His mom had his dad under a love potion. It's weak. It is. It is a weak. That is the weakest part of Harry Potter, in my opinion, is Voldemort's origin and motives. And
like it's a different brand of bad. Like it's like he's going to be evil no matter what, and there's like 0 redeeming qualities about him. Like you never expect there to be some kind of like redemption story because there's nothing in there to redeem. Like it's a different, and like sometimes villains like that are good for just being bad.
Sure.
Like I don't mind that at all. A villain that has depth and like who used to be good, who has all these like inner demons and like struggles and like there's a glimmer of they might still be good deep under all that, and maybe they'll like turn it around. Like, that adds a lot more depth to character development.
Yeah.
And, seeing what happens with them because you never really know how it's going to turn out.
Voldemort is weak because he never had a chance. His story had no chance of him being anything other than bad, for sure. And I mean, she gives him that one moment at the end, not to throw out any spoilers on that, but he gets that one opportunity and, really an opportunity for redemption there, and he doesn't take it because he's just bad. You know what I mean? He's just bad. He's so narcissistic and
Like the embodiment of bad.
yeah, and so but you have Darth Vader, and there's motive there, right? You have Darth Vader who has a reason why, and one of those reasons being he hates himself so much that he literally cannot forgive himself or anyone else. And that is, I mean, and that's just the tip of the iceberg with that character. So for me, the original trilogy just embodies all of that, right? You are introduced to these key characters, they all come together, they become a family, and they're all kind of, in a way, they're all kind of misfits. Because even Leia's probably the one who's got it the most together, um, but you know, she's a princess, so she's already, you know, if you pay attention to any of that, anybody in kind of a royal position is usually kind of lonely, and she's the youngest senator ever. So you know, uh she's already in, you know, it's like a kid skipping several grades, you know what I mean? Like okay, it's cool you're here, but do you always fit in, you know what I mean? Totally. And so like you know, and then she loses her family, she experiences that real loss. And so like, you know, you go through all these characters' journeys, they become a family, they're fighting against this evil that really is evil for a reason, and they're able to use that reason to resolve that. And that to me is just awesome storytelling. I think it's kind of dumb that they brought back a Death Star 2 because they had a Death Star 1 in the first one, and they were like, how the crap do we top that? But
make a bigger, badder
right,
version of the same exact thing.
But like, it didn't feel like Starkiller Base. But anyway. But so, and then the prequel trilogies, I definitely have Human. Hey, is this Star Wars or Harry Potter? Oh man. Yeah, but anyways, honestly, Snoke comes across that way in the movies. He's just some bad guy. Oh, absolutely. Snoke, it felt like they were leading up to something, and then it all just fizzled. It all just fizzled out. But
that was another gasp-worthy moment in my opinion.
There's only power, and those two are afraid to use it. Come on, dude. Yeah, for sure. Which is why I can't put 6 too high up the list. Oh, interesting. What about anime storytelling?
Let's get back to, can we get back to ranking?
Yeah. Well, so really quick though, well, prequels, I didn't get to talk about the prequels, why they're my number 2. So I really like the prequels because they brought that origin. I love origin stories. They brought the origin stuff. They looked fantastic. There are glimmers of really good storytelling in there. I like the new locations. I like the new races. Like I felt like they brought so much to Star Wars, while at the same time being so stupid. You know what I mean? That you just want to smack yourself in the head. Like,
follow.
Hey, Human, thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate it. Glad to have you. But yeah, so that's the thing. The prequels would be really, really hard to beat for me if it wasn't for the stupid. Anakin and Padme's love story felt really weak. Anakin being a virgin birth felt really dumb to me. One of my favorite authors teaches a writing class, and he talks about this, about how like George was so stuck on the hero's journey. He followed it so closely and tight-fisted that, you know, he gives it a virgin birth, and it just didn't make sense. And everybody went, huh, okay, you know, that feels weird. And I feel like that almost follows through the entire trilogy, like just that feeling of, huh, okay, why? But the thing that really redeems it, and it's what you talked about earlier for me too,
because the Force,
right? Yeah. The thing that really lifts up the prequel trilogy is Palpatine's takeover. They portray, that is the best, in my opinion, that is the best thing about the prequel trilogy, is the way that Palpatine orchestrated that takeover. Suddenly it made so much more sense how they could go from the Republic to this galactic empire, right? And how this one guy could gain so much control.
And how cool was it that they used like a younger I don't know how young he
Ian
was, but
McDermott.
a young guy in the original trilogy and like with used makeup on him, and then they were able to use the same actor, which it would have been so weird with a different actor, I think. Same guy just looks like an old man senator.
And
Like
Ian
we see
McDermott.
how he becomes looking what he does in the original.
Ian McDermott is fantastic, and you know, we could complain about a lot of people's acting in the prequels and in the original in all of them. We could complain,
right.
but not Ian McDermott. Ian McDermott is Palpatine. Like,
I'm also not complaining about Ewan McGregor.
okay.
Oh, and Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Stellar.
Qui-Gon is amazing. So, I mean, that's the hard part. You know what I mean? It's like, I do think that the original trilogy is the best storytelling. I think they got that down. I think it has the most iconic characters. And not just because they were originals, but because of who they are as characters and how they interact. And so that always puts that at the top for me. The prequels come next, and if it wasn't for the prequels, like really low lows, they have some pretty incredible highs. And then the sequel trilogy to me is just so many stupid choices. I no matter what things I like out of those movies, I cannot get over the fact that they were all just the whole thing was crafted in such a stupid, thoughtless way. And so that's why that's my order. So movies.
Okay. You know what I think is funny is because your name is in blue and mine's in red as usual per our branding, but
Yeah.
I feel like such a dark side person today. Like I'm just unpopular opinions, going to the dark side. You know, you're all like, I'm going to represent the light side of the force and all the Star Wars fans of the universe.
Yeah. Ewan McGregor and Ian McDermott carried the prequel trilogy. Absolutely. And Ewan had a couple of moments too where I was like, that's not up to Ewan's standard. You know what I mean? Couple like in the elevator and he's laughing. Stupid. But Ewan's fantastic. And Hayden's interesting because Hayden had done a lot of movies before that, you know, very troubled young men that he played, and I think they got him because he can exhibit that anger, he can exhibit that pain and that anger, but the rest of it,
he can do is anger.
Right.
I will give him that.
That's
anger all the time, and
right.
also creepy.
Yeah, and I think Natalie had the potential there, but I think a lot of that came down to the script and directing. I think
all that was
so much of that. Yeah, and they just didn't have chemistry. Yep.
Moving along, I have to give a disclaimer right now that I really need to watch Solo again because I literally can't remember hardly anything about the plot of that movie or the acting. It's not one I've seen more than
So would you say it's at the bottom?
That's unfair to say. It's just like,
yeah, but how else are you going to rank it?
Like my feelings about it.
How else are you going to rank it though? I mean, if you literally can't remember it, I mean, at this point, I would say put it at the bottom.
With an asterisk because there's a reason, and it's unfair to the movie itself.
Right.
Yes, we are putting in the others,
yeah,
but just for discussion's sake. Do you know what your 11th place is?
Yeah, absolutely.
Portman did not do fine. I feel like every
she had her moments.
Man.
Oh.
Yeah, thought she did just
fine. I had a crush on Natalie Portman back then. She did just fine. No, she I thought she had her moments.
I thought she started out acting like I can't move my lips, Queen Amidala, and even after she took off the makeup, it never really stopped.
It just didn't stop.
I was like, this is how I deliver all of my lines. What am I watching right now? This is what you love, Creepy Stalker? Okay.
Yep. So because of that, Attack of the Clones is my least favorite.
Or Foyne.
Yeah, Foyne. Yeah, for sure, Murph. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, absolutely takes the last spot for me. I talk about a cringy movie.
Yeah, I think I'll put that in my number 10.
Okay. The only thing that I really appreciated about Attack of the Clones, besides just Dooku as a character, I think we can all agree,
Oh, I do love Dooku.
Dooku is just a cool character.
I don't know. I haven't decided now.
But the only thing that gives Attack of the Clones anything worth watching, I feel like, is the clones. Because you hear about the Clone Wars already in A New Hope, right? And to find out what the Clone Wars actually were, oh yeah, your father was a Jedi Knight, like me or something. I can't remember the line. I was a Jedi Knight like your father, or your father was anyway. But he fought in the Clone Wars with me, you know what I mean? And oh hey, Mike Hawk, thank you very much for the follow, appreciate it. How are you? Welcome to the channel. We're talking Star Wars. We're ranking Star Wars movies tonight.
Yeah, I totally forgot about Dooku. And isn't that in episode 2, isn't that where we see Yoda finally do a lightsaber battle and that came out of nowhere?
Yeah, which I mean, a lot of people. That was cool. It was cool to see Yoda do something besides hobble around or fly around on his floating disc or sit on top of Luke's foot.
Everyone's always in awe of Yoda and all of his Jedi prowess, and yet we've never seen him wield a lightsaber. So that was a cool moment, and I think that has some merit.
Yep, for sure. So, hi, Mike. My favorite Natalie Portman parts were when she was Keira Knightley.
Right? Oh my gosh. That was so trippy to me when I found out that it was a different actress playing that body double, and I was like, are you kidding me right now? I thought it was literally a double version of Natalie Portman in there. And then later I was like, Keira Knightley, she's actually somebody to know. It was crazy.
But yeah, just Attack of the Clones was just such a terrible movie. I don't mind Kamino. I don't mind the clones there. It's not necessarily what I expected, but I was satisfied with it. I was satisfied by the by the explanation of this is why it was called the Clone Wars, you know what I mean? And that was really interesting to me, and it was cool to see how that was a predecessor to Imperial Star Destroyers and also Stormtrooper gear and things like that, you know what I mean? The
Clone Army.
Yeah, there's a feeling of progression there, right? Along with an answer to something that Star Wars fans have speculated about for a long time. And so that to me was the best thing about Attack of the Clones. And it was one of the only good things about Attack of the Clones. It just falls flat to me. What a boring... if we sit down to watch a Star Wars movie, the last one on my mind absolutely is Attack of the Clones.
I despise the whole sequence of when they go through the factory and it's you're literally on a conveyor belt and you look like a video game and you're trying to get through all these obstacles, and then they get tied to the poles in the gladiator arena and all these weird creatures come out. It just felt very formulaic, here's some obstacles you need to go through to finish the movie, and it wasn't it didn't really do much for the story. And in the meantime it was guess what, I love you, and it's really?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
What is she like? I deeply.
Oh yeah, and it's she meets him on level creepy. I don't know.
I know. I mean, maybe she just likes creepy blokes. I don't know.
She's got a type.
I guess. I don't know. That's just super weird. I don't know. They, again, growing up with the original trilogy, reading the Legends books, not really knowing a whole lot about Anakin's wife. You know what I mean? Whoever she was intended to be back then. I think they tried to kind of address it a little bit, but that's not how I imagine things. One, I imagine Anakin still being even older, joining the Jedi Order, and being a pilot by then already, and then being found by Obi-Wan or the Jedi, whatever, and being trained, and and then him already or very or developing this very natural relationship with his future wife, and that being a contention point, which is fine, it is, but that being a contention point a little bit, and then and then how he falls. That's always kind of how I imagined it. And so when it becomes this super quick, like super creepy, I deeply love you. Do you really? I feel like you barely know this guy. I don't know.
Right. Murph says literally the redeemable parts are revealing the clones and the moment from when Yoda shows up with the clones on Geonosis to the end of Yoda's lightsaber battle. And I agree with that. Definitely the redeemable parts, which have nothing to do with Anakin and Padme. It's completely unbelievable that she would have stayed with him through episode 3. How many danger signs were there leading up to the end? Oh my gosh, right? Like which episode did she find out? Isn't it in 2 where she finds out that he like murders all the Tuskens? Like, if that's not a red flag, I don't know what is.
I killed them.
Right?
Not just the men, but the women and the children too. To be angry is to be human, Annie. Padme's murdered 3 villages of sentience. No big deal. It happens sometimes, right?
It happens to everybody, honestly.
I can forgive that. That's okay. What? I mean, like, she's like, you're going down a path I can't follow, Anakin, and you're like, what?
Stop trying to follow him.
He murdered a village of sand people.
Anakin's the father, isn't he? I'm so sorry.
As are we. Human says, I'm good with that. Padme.
Right? Sure. It's like, and it's such a short time. They go from that, what should have been a giant red flag about this guy's anger issues, to I deeply, truly, blah, 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 love you. Like, okay. Well, I'm not sure what did it for you there, but now you're just as creepy as him.
I'm good with that, over and over until he chokes her. Then she's like, I'm sad, guess I'll die. Oh my gosh. Oh man. It's so dumb.
My heart, really.
I'm going into cardiac.
Okay, let's move on from the deck.
Okay. It's just so easy to bash. I will say this though, when he has that moment where he says, I killed them all, and not just the men. And like and that's his one, and his face, and then the like, and I'm like, oh, I get chills just thinking about it.
The Emperor's theme.
That moment right there is amazing. Separate it from everything else. That right there was incredible. There had to be a marriage counselors in all those star systems for real.
For a Jedi,
right?
Anyway,
let's keep moving.
I'm saying right now, I'm going to reserve the right to change my order up as we go, because I
think that's fair. Okay.
Because there might be some that I'm like, I like that less than that, so move it on down.
Okay. What do you think? What do you think goes next? Your number 9. Should I do a number 10 really quick, so we can even up? Okay. My number 10. Probably again not a big surprise, but my number 10 is most definitely The Last Jedi.
Okay.
The Last Jedi pisses me off, and in different ways than I think some people get mad about it. And a lot of people were mad about Leia flying in space, and I'm like, why is anybody mad about this? Why is anybody mad about this? 1, she is the daughter of Anakin Skywalker, so she's already...
Leia, have your moment.
2, she's not flying. She's in space. All she had to do was 1, Jedi meditation kind of thing. Jedi, and this goes back to the Legends stories and universe and stuff. Jedis have the ability to, for a time, bring in all of their, slow down all of their metabolic processes and things like that, maintain oxygen consumption to a level where they can, for a short amount of time, survive in low to no oxygen situations. Luke does it in his X-Wing. One of his Padawans does it in an escape pod. It's nothing new here. And then apart from that, all she had to do was one of the easiest Jedi tricks ever. Force pull. She's pulling on a giant ship and she's in space. Of course, she's going to be the one that moves. What's so hard about this? Sorry, I get mad. I get mad.
Murph, what is it that you didn't like about the way it was filmed? I'm curious. Um, okay, go on. Why
Okay.
else for Last Jedi for you while he's answering?
Oh,
Oh,
that's
oh,
interesting.
I know you don't like what they did with Luke's story.
Yeah, I hate what they did with Luke. Absolutely hate what they did with Luke. So how can you go from the original trilogy where I was talking about like the character progression, right? The characters starting out in this one spot, not even physically, but metaphysically, like mentally, starting out in this one in this spot and progressing through the story to be better people. You know what I mean? And still scarred, still with flaws, but better people. How do you go from that to Luke being a whiny I mean, not a whiny, people were like, oh well, he was a whiny brat in New Hope, and I'm like, yeah, and then he went through an entire character progression, right?
He
And
also went through an entire lightsaber over his shoulder.
right, and here's the deal: if you're going to turn your dad back to the light or die trying and totally being okay with that, it just doesn't make sense to me. The whole Luke arc in that, to me, feels wasted. It doesn't make sense to me. Canto Bight gets a whole lot of flack. I agree with that 100%. Way to try and push political stuff into a movie like Star Wars. I mean, like, and people argue about it being political. I think in a very general sense, there are real life things that can be taken from it, but all good stories do that. They're not always so blatant in your face, and that legitimately felt like the most useless part of the entire story because it didn't even like equate to it didn't result or resolve anything except for having Finn on that super Star Destroyer, and he could fight Phasma, and talk about a very like unsatisfying fight. That was a super unsatisfying fight. That was dumb. It was dumb. And for Phasma to go out that way too, which I thought Phasma was an interesting character, for her to die that way, I don't know. It was just dumb. I didn't like it. So like all of The Last Jedi to me, there are some redeemable moments. There are a few things I like about it, but primarily I just cinematically it looked good. There's some high moments, but like The Last Jedi to me is just a waste. It is a waste of a Star Wars film.
Okay. Murph says it's the position she's in. She's floating in space, but then strikes a superwoman pose to fly back toward the ship. I feel like it could have been some more gracefully and fluid.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
My problem with the Mary Poppins, I mean Leia space. Yeah, I can see that.
Mary Poppins, y'all.
Mainly that it came completely out of nowhere, despite being of the lineage. I mean, yes, but like, how much have we seen of Leia in the last several years that we know what she's learned and
I just always assumed that one, she had the potential there, and once she knew of it from Return of the Jedi, that she would even be able to just herself, like in a lot of ways that Luke was sort of self-taught, she'd be able to like, notice it more almost. But then also her brother is Luke, and I can see her and Luke working at this together. Like, I guess I just assume that because again, I read a lot of Legends, and that's what happens. Like eventually, or very quickly, Luke starts to teach her little things. And that culminates into her eventually joining the Jedi when she feels like her time as a New Republic official is kind of over. So
what was I gonna say?
I mean, but that's fair, human. I've heard that a lot.
Oh, I at that point when we were actually watching The Last Jedi in the theater, hadn't like Carrie Fisher already passed away going into that movie?
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember like it being so much more like emotional, like, when you see like the bridge of that ship get blown up and we're like, oh my gosh, is that how they get her out of the story? Like it was so extreme. And then to see her like force come back, everyone's like, she's not dead yet. It was crazy, like emotionally on like a real life level too. I remember that being a thing.
Oh yeah. So Murph, I want to touch on a couple points that you made. But first I want to touch on Leia had been using the Force her entire life, whether or not she knew it. That's interesting because again, that goes all the way back to Legends. You have books there where like Luke even talks about, Yeah, Uncle Owen was looking for a hydro spanner or whatever, and couldn't find it. And a young Luke, like maybe 5 or 6, closed his eyes and said, "It's under that chair." And he said he's never had such a spanking from Owen as when he did that, because Owen was trying to stop him from using the Force. You know what I mean? And because Owen knew what was going on. And so that's interesting, because that idea is the twins have been using the Force unconsciously the whole time. So it's interesting. Yeah, that was the idea even back in the day. So the only thing you need to know about Canto Bight is that the crew realized they had not done Jack for Finn in that movie and had to fit him in somewhere, so he gets to join up with the new awkward character Rose. I didn't mind Rose. I thought they didn't do Rose's character justice. It wasn't her character that bothered me. It's what they did with Rose.
Yeah,
And
her
even the
entire,
lines.
the storyline.
Yep.
Finn's storyline and the fact that she was a part of it, like, that whole thing was just
Out of nowhere weird.
I mean, I get, okay, Rey's off on the island with Luke, and, like, it's hard to also be giving Finn something to do on the outside of that, because the Force Awakens, they were always up together and they were a team, and it's weird to go from that to splitting up and then fleshing out each
It's
character's
like
story. And they didn't do a good job on his, but, like, it would have had to been something else,
It's like Rian Johnson when it's too cliche for them to be a romantic couple, which a lot of people I think thought was happening from the Force Awakens. And so quick, let's put somebody else in there. Now we got to give them a scene together, and now we got to give Finn something. And I agree with you, Murph, but that almost makes me more mad, because right then Finn became an afterthought, and that sucks, because I really like Finn, and I really like John Boyega's performance as Finn.
Oh yeah.
Incredible actor. But with a 30-year period since Return of the Jedi, I'd hoped she did something with her awareness of the Force that Luke helped to cultivate in her. Absolutely. Yep. I think it would have been more believable if it suddenly kicked on instinctively and the Force had her grab onto something before being sucked into space. But see, that's the thing. It's been 30 years. I think she's had those opportunities, right? Because the Empire didn't just disappear when Palpatine died, right? There were remnants and things, a scattered army and loyalists still. And so I think there'd be opportunities for that too. But again, I get where you're coming from. From a movie standpoint, yeah, it seems like, what the heck, And I think what Rian was kind of trying to go for was, hey, surprise, you weren't expecting that. But I don't think it definitely didn't have the impact he expected. So yeah, I think the scene as the missiles are coming in is critical. She knows what's coming and she closes her eyes and braces herself, not with physically grabbing onto something, but centering the Force. Absolutely. Oren, why did Anakin catch on fire? Because it was really flipping hot, man. But I'm assuming this is a joke.
Cam said a few things ago, episode 3, Anakin being burnt did not make sense.
Oh, it's so hot. So like even the droids, right, had personal shields. It is so hot by that lava that any extended amount of time there, his clothes caught first, and then his skin's going to start to melt. Like that's what happened, right? Like that part is believable to me. If you're close to lava like that, unprotected for long enough, you will burn. Like, ooh.
Yeah, like Murph just said, being so close to the lava, the temperature of his clothes reached its ignition point and combusted, consuming him in flame.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, you're laying down on those like hot rocks too. It's not like you're just on cold rocks next to lava. Like,
yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's just, again, I feel like we can talk a lot about like why we don't like these movies. The Last Jedi just really fell flat to me. And it's that dividing point. Like everybody was like, oh, The Force Awakens is so contrived. It's ripping off A New Hope. And
No, I loved it.
It was though.
I wouldn't say it was ripping off. I think that they were trying to harken back to it to like bring it to a new generation. And maybe they did too much similarity.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it.
And we can talk about that when we get to that movie for us. But that to me, it wasn't as dividing as The Last Jedi. And The Last Jedi is really when this fan base split in two and like really, really pissed a lot of people off. And no matter what it is, good or bad about that movie, that's the thing that really makes me upset the most about it, which is why I put it in my second to last spot, because I mean, it's not as bad as Attack of the Clones. It's just not. But there's a lot of bad going on with it. So So let's do number
Well,
9.
is going to be much higher. I just don't know.
Yeah, yeah. One of my biggest problems with episode 8 was that the whole movie revolved around the Empire wasn't able to catch up to the rebel ships. What? I know. It's so, just so boring and so I don't know. I honestly, human, I could go on and on about, and I could go on and on about the things I do like about it. There are things I like about it, but I can much easier remember the things I don't like about it. A little too much harkening, but it was exciting. Yeah. They were waiting for the ships to essentially run out of gas. Awful. Yeah, yeah.
Murph said there
Right.
were some clunky bits for sure in 8 and some really wasted moments, but I rank it higher because of the philosophical elements around the understanding of the Force and the exploration of trauma.
That's fair. I don't mind that part where Luke kind of talks about, like, does the Force really belong to the Jedi or the Sith? No, it doesn't. It predates them. It's going to continue on after them. I don't know how much I like Rian Johnson's, this whole like balance thing, because George's original idea of balance isn't what they're trying to do in Star Wars now. Star Wars now, they're trying to almost kind of make it like, well, there has to be dark side and light, and they have to be in equal measures to get balance. And George's original idea, from what I've read, is that balance is the light side bringing a piece that balances the playing field. And balancing the playing field is even kind of the wrong terminology, but it just doesn't feel quite the same. But I get what you mean, and I kind of agree with that. It's like the Jedi aren't the only people. The Jedi and the Sith aren't the only people who can use the Force. And some of that was pretty spot on. I like some of that for sure. But to redeem the entire movie,
I would also like to add that no matter what was going on with the story and the directors, I think Adam Driver did great, like throughout.
oh, Adam Driver was great.
So you could always count on Kylo to have story development.
Adam Driver, John Boyega, my favorite actors in that. And and I thought Daisy Ridley did a good job of acting too. She just, the character, there were character things for me with that and I mean director decisions, I think, or writing decisions with that I don't know. And again, just the change from Finn. We start with Finn and Finn's this cool background, right? And really kind of losing focus on.
Who doesn't really do it for me that much is Poe.
Yeah, Poe.
He kind of seems like a why is he there? Like he's like, oh, we need a more Han Solo type, or I don't even know. It's like they're all kind of like hybrids of like the original cast, but like I don't know. He doesn't have that much of a storyline or development, or he's just some like hothead pilot that just is like, I feel like we're wasting time on him, honestly.
Cam, do you mean Starkiller Base, or do you mean Starkiller the character from like The Force Unleashed? Okay, number 9 spot. I'll let you go next.
Oh, I'm supposed to be ready with that. What should we bring up? Well, okay, let me ask you this: where can you see yourself putting Rogue One? Because I don't know where to put that.
Rogue One is not the bottom of my list. I like Rogue One. I just don't always put it.
Like it better than
Attack of the Clones and The Last Jedi for sure.
Yeah.
Rogue One's probably my number 8. Rogue One's probably my number 8. And not because I dislike it. I like it. I like that movie. A lot, actually. But I just can't put it above the other Star Wars movies. So
do you have a clear idea of what your 9 is then?
Yeah, yes.
Why don't you say it?
Solo.
Oh. Well, that's easy. So Solo and then Rogue One for you.
Yeah,
You're all the way up to 8.
And I mean, again, guys, we gotta reiterate, like, just because we're ranking them lower and just because we're talking about why we rank them lower doesn't mean we don't like them. I always say this about Harry Potter as well. Book 4, Goblet of Fire, is my least favorite Harry Potter book. But the Harry Potter series as a whole is my favorite series of all time. And so, like, being the last of my favorite, being last in my ranking of Harry Potter, still puts it above like every other book.
Like sequels.
Yeah, yeah.
Of all things that I really like, here's what I like more than
But
the
if I
other
gotta
ones.
rank it, but yeah, so like Solo, I liked Solo, but again, I grew up reading the Legends Solo books, and it's not what I expected. I kind of don't like that Corellia looked like a utilitarian dump. Corellia was supposed to have like space docks where they were making. Corellia was known for its starships and its starship production, but to protect the landscape and nature, basically to protect the planet, they moved it off planet onto like space docks, space stations where they built these ships. And so that kind of rubbed me the wrong way that they changed that. It just felt like they changed everything that I knew about Han Solo. They changed how he met Chewie, which was a fun scene to watch, but I didn't like how that happened as much. I don't know. It was a good movie. I liked the characters and stuff, but I don't know. And again, I feel like they can't decide. And I'm going to actually answer Cam's question in a second because it's actually applicable. They can't decide who started the rebellion, and that pisses me off because everybody knows it was Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, Padme, if you've read the books, and some other senators and stuff. Who was it? I can't remember. And then some of these original defectors, and they can't decide who started the rebellion. And now you've got and does the rebellion necessarily start with one group? Not really, not necessarily. But to have Han Solo almost kind of like getting the real rebellion going in that spot, I don't know. It just, and then the cameo with Darth Maul, that's really cool. And it also is kind of like I know about what happens in Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff like that, but I'm still like, I don't know. I feel like they should have given Darth Maul more, and we can talk about that when we get to Phantom Menace. I feel like they should have given Darth Maul more story. He should have persisted through the prequel trilogy. And I think they realized the opportunity they missed, and they just keep trying to bring the guy back. And I'm like, you know what? He's really freaking cool, but you killed him. Let him be dead. I don't know. That's just my thing. So
That's not the Star Wars way now, is it?
No, nope. And so Solo is a good movie. I enjoy it. I don't know why it gets as much hate as it does, but it changes a lot of things that I've always thought about Star Wars, and that's tough for me to swallow. It's hard for me to get behind. So that's why I put Solo in number 9.
Okay. I'm having trouble on my next ones. You can catch up on chat for a second. We were asked, are you using episodes 4 through 6 as they aired originally, or the George Lucas remakes?
I mean, it kind of doesn't matter. I always think of it as the originals that George originally made. I don't mind all the things that he added, even though I feel like it was unnecessary. But if we start getting into like Han shot first and stuff, yeah, I agree. Han shot first. Han knew exactly who he was dealing with. He knew the stakes, and he's a survivor, right? But like, I don't know. I think it goes either way, however you want to view it. But like for me, I always picture the originals in their original format. So,
right.
Yeah, they kind of murdered Corellia. It's supposed to be a beautiful planet despite its industry. Also, Star Wars Galaxies. Absolutely, Murph. Absolutely. Yep. They just seem to be retconning so many things, and that bugs me because I'm a continuity guy. Oh, I'm hardcore. Word. Darth Maul's in the books is so delicious. Darth Maul is an incredible character. They missed out. They missed out, and I understand why they had to get rid of him essentially, because you got to pave that way for Anakin. And while I like Dooku, I think Maul is a more interesting villain overall. I think he had the mystique. Hey, Misty, how are ya? Hello, rating Star Wars. Love them.
She ranks them.
She ranks all Star Wars number 1. Yep, 100%.
They all get 10 out of 10.
Yeah, for sure, Cam. I was going to say really quick, in relation to what Cam was asking, how do I feel about Starkiller? Um, Again, that plays back to, like if you play The Force Unleashed, which I played the first one, it was actually Selfish Locks. When he rented a room from us, he brought his Xbox here. He had The Force Unleashed. He let me play it. And I played through that, and I thought it was a really fun game. The mechanics were well done, and everything. I just hated the story. It didn't feel like it didn't mesh with what I knew of Star Wars. And it wasn't totally out of the realm of believability, but I hated the story. I hated it. And I saw what they were trying to do there, but nah. And the idea that the rebellion didn't start until Leia was a teenager already? No. The rebellion started before Palpatine even called himself emperor. In the prequel books, Padme and Mon Mothma and Bail Antilles and 200 other senators signed this declaration basically saying, when this is all over, Palpatine, you need to hand power back to the Senate. And when he doesn't, and Padme's dead, and Padme basically tells them, whatever goes down, I'm counting on you guys, Mon Mothma and Bail. And when that all goes down, Bail and Mon Mothma start bringing together all of these people, you know what I mean, to form this rebellion. That happened way before Starkiller. And yet it's this idea that he's the one who got the Empire rolling. And so that plays kind of into that whole Solo feel, right? Is like, are you trying to imply that Han Solo started, like, kind of kicked off the rebellion? The rebellion's already been happening. It's been happening. And so that, yeah. But I agree, Cam. I think, yeah, Solo, the backlash they got from Solo, for sure. Well, and I think it comes back to a lot of people like me who grew up with Legends and it really, like, retconning things we all already thought we knew. So
Okay.
yeah.
I'm trying to, like, formulate my list over here so I know what direction I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
I think next I'm going to go ahead and put in Rogue One, again, possibly with an asterisk, because I could use another watch of it. Like, it's one of those ones where I think I really enjoyed the theater experience of it. I liked some of the characters, but none of them were, like, super, like, oh man, they were so memorable. And it's one of those type of storylines where it's like I don't always want to watch it again and again because it, like, of the way that it ends, and it's so like, well, you know where this is going, and no one's gonna survive and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And so it's not like a replayability one super that much. And I think I've seen it maybe twice or three times at the most, but it's been a while already. So it's not like one that's so ingrained in my memory and super fresh either that I can, like, rank it that well. Um, but it's still in the list of, it's Star Wars and it was
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yep. I enjoyed, yeah, I'll get to what I, yeah, when I, yeah. Okay. Well, and I already said Rogue One.
You're number 8, and then
Yeah.
you can
So I enjoyed the different perspective, and Murph was even just kind of saying this, right? Like, there were different pockets of rebellion all over, and there were different people having different experiences all across the galaxy who end up all meeting up in the rebellion. And so I totally get that. That makes sense. That would happen. That's realistic to me. Starkiller basically coming up with the symbol for the rebellion when Leia's already a teenager and stuff like that, and, like, that's something else. We could talk about games and the game characters some other time maybe, but that's a good topic for another time. But, like, that idea bugs me, and that's kind of how I felt with Solo. Is it totally accurate? No, I can totally see what you're talking about, and that makes a lot of sense. But it's just one of those things that when I watched it, I was kind of like, but yeah, let's just dump Force Unleashed. Great games mechanically, aesthetically for the time, like, great. Story, I hated that. I hate the story. Oh, Cam, yeah, we're gonna stick to Star Wars.
a bit of time.
Yep. But yeah,
Yeah.
Rogue One, I liked the kind of the Death Star information that we get from that, with her dad. I enjoyed, even the idea of kyber crystals being involved was kind of interesting to me. I still don't know how I totally feel about that, but, like, it kind of makes sense then. Okay, well, if a lightsaber is made of kyber crystals and now the Empire is mining all these kyber crystals, that makes sense to me. That makes sense. And I liked seeing it from somebody else's perspective than the regular. I enjoyed the offshoot, right? I enjoyed the side story. Somebody else doing their part for the rebellion. I like that. I thought that was really cool. So it's really good. It's different enough that I can't lump it in with the rest of Star Wars. So
Okay. You ready?
Yep.
I think my number 8 is going to be Phantom Menace.
Sorry, I'm responding to Murph. Murph, really quick, just said Rogue One's seamless tie into Episode 4 was one of the most emotional things I've experienced in Star Wars.
Oh, that's a great scene.
That part was amazing. That whole part, not even just the Vader like showing up, which chills again too. But but that whole part of that, yeah, absolutely fantastic. And it actually follows a similar theme as one of the solo books from the Legends. So. Phantom Menace. Okay, interesting. Loved Rogue One. Beautiful rebel story leading right into Episode 4. Absolutely human. Rebels cameos in Rogue One too. That's been one of the best things about Star Wars, Legends or this new canon, is that they've always fleshed out all these characters. They've given them backstories. They've tied them in. You know what I mean? Like it very much feels like a living, breathing, hey, why wouldn't you see this person here? You know what I mean? Like it makes sense. It's been one of the best things.
Okay.
So talk Phantom Menace.
Well, I'm having a hard time with my order, but I think I'm putting that one down there because, well, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Jar Jar either. I thought there was a lot of annoying parts. Kid Anakin's kind of annoying too. I know he gets a lot of flack. I think he played the part well, but
and he was a kid.
Okay, here's the things. I thought pod racing was cool.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I'm trying to think about all the okay. Qui-Gon and Darth Maul are two great characters that didn't get enough airtime, so that's almost like a strike against it to me. Like they're great, but I think that they both got killed off too soon, and so I don't. That almost is like a negative to me. Like Obi-Wan's not super fleshed out in that one yet. Like he obviously grows into his own in the later movies, but I feel like he's also underutilized um and then that's when we get Padme as stuffy Queen Amidala and it's just like I don't know. There's just a weird feel to it. I don't mind a lot of the stuff like, seeing Naboo and like a lot of those scenes like are cool, but then like when the Gungan army's fighting and they've got all these like weird explosive orbs and like I don't know, just it has its own feel, and it's not one that I like better than some of the others.
That's fair.
So it's just kind of like middle of the road for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Human said, side note, by the way, when you get to the animated series, I highly recommend you watch the original Gendy Tartakovsky's micro series first. I think we watched the movie that kicked that off. I'm not sure. My friends were really into that in college, and I had really big beefs as a Star Wars purist. And so, I was just like, whatever. And I'm not much actually into cartoons much. I don't know why. It's not like I have a hate against them or anything. I'm not drawn to them that much. But we've decided we're going to try and consume Rebels and Clone Wars and all of that stuff.
It's evident to us that we're missing a lot from not seeing those based on especially this community who there's a lot of fans of those here and we, trust their judgment on that as a recommendation. And also being fans of Mandalorian now, I feel like there's a lot that's going to happen in the Mandalorian, especially this season, that I want a more fleshed out view of the characters that I'm meeting and what's going on that I'm not going to have if I don't get those backstories. So I'm aware of the significance. We just have to fit it into our schedule.
Yeah. Murph said, Episode 1 brought us into a much wider Star Wars universe than we saw in the original trilogy, plus our first look at the Jedi without relying only on the memory of aged characters like Yoda and Kenobi in the original trilogy. That's fair.
And the Jedi at their peak and, like, being, this, like, ruling council, like, epitome of, they had this whole system in place and training younglings and all this stuff. Like, that's not something you get in the originals, only it's,
Right.
like, distant lore.
You see how they actually lived.
Right.
And how they're almost kind of how their system worked. And that's always really interesting.
Right.
That's fair.
So yeah, definitely. Yeah. Obviously being the first of the origin story lineup, it has its merits. It needs to be there. We have to meet Vader as a young boy to find out where he comes from, see him as being innocent in the beginning. Like, it's important to see innocent Anakin for all the rest of it to make that much more sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair, Cam. Yep. Fleshing out that character, because again, I don't think that's what a lot of what the prequels were lacking was that character, the character development, the character progression. It felt like it was at such a breakneck speed that, because they had to hit all these marks, right? It was at such a breakneck speed that you almost needed something like the books and the TV shows and things like that to give it more depth and make it more human. So definitely agree with that. I'll talk about Phantom Menace when I get to it. It is not my number 7.
Okay, what's your number 7?
So my number 7 is absolutely The Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
And so Rise of Skywalker for me gets middle of the road because I'm so conflicted, you guys. I'm so conflicted about this movie.
Yeah, you are.
That I have not watched it since the first time I watched it in theaters.
I just watched it the other day, actually.
Yeah, I know.
I keep saying, I want to watch that again, and he, like, won't do it.
I am so conflicted. I'm almost afraid. I know how my brain works, and I am almost afraid that when I watch it again, because it's not the first time I'm watching it and everything's new and fresh, I am so analytical. Like, I do this with books too. The first time I read a book, I fly through the book. Okay? Fly through it. Human, thank you so much for cheering those 100 galleons. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We're happy to have you here talking.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the follow. Thanks for coming and hanging out. We hope to see you again. Great discussion. Yeah. Appreciate you coming in and giving us your opinion. And we really appreciate that cheer. Hope you have a great night.
Selfish Lock says I've rewatched it 80
times. Cam, are you saying good night to us, or are you saying good night to Human? But
it was to Human.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because I will say good night to you too, but I don't want to take it wrong. Watched it only twice.
I have to say, okay, I saw Rise of Skywalker in the theater with Oren, and his immediate reaction was that was a great movie.
Yeah.
He was blown away at the beginning. He thought it was awesome. And not only until afterwards, when it starts to, like, sink in and you start to digest it and analyze it, did he start to, like so many others, start to see the holes and the problems, and therefore it's moved down. I think it would have been higher in the list if it was like we just saw that yesterday for the first time, because you were, like, hyped about it.
I'm so torn because like as a movie, just as a movie, it is fantastic. It hits so many good points, so many highs. As a movie, it's great. And even as a Star Wars movie, there were a couple moments that I thought that was brilliant. And I'll get, what moment I'm going to talk about. My number 1 moment was just.
Do I?
I think you do. Should I just bring it up now?
Of Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, Rise of Skywalker.
We're talking about that movie. Why wouldn't you bring it up?
Well, because I was just kind of saying. So, like, it's still just kind of talking about how, like, for me, I'm so torn on it now. My brain has started to just. Because again, like I said, when I read a book, I go right through it. I read it super fast. I still take things in, but then I read it again. and I read it slower because now I'm piecing it all together. You know what I mean? And I'm finding the things I didn't get in the first run, and that's how my brain works. I dissect everything. I overthink everything, and the longer I've gone on, the more I've started to do that with Rise of Skywalker, and the less I like it. And the thing is it's almost like if I don't watch it again, I don't remember it enough to do that too much, and I can kind of still enjoy it like I did when I first saw it. And my fear is if I watch it again, I'm gonna rip that movie to shreds. I'm gonna just demolish it in my own opinion. You know what I mean? And it's not gonna be as bad as Attack of the Clones or Last Jedi. Like, no chance. But it could drop below Rogue One and Solo. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, man.
That's a little extreme.
It carries so much weight as the final word on the Skywalker saga, which is the source of my conflict with it. Yes, absolutely. It's 11 p.m. Just saying TikTok Orin. Sorry. Anyways, so here's the deal. The number one thing I love about The Rise of Skywalker, Luke raising the X-Wing. Take away any reason why Rey is there. Take away any reasons why Luke is dead and what his attitude was and blah, blah, blah. Take away all of that. But that one scene where Luke raises the lightsaber, I'm like, I said to Allie, I was like, do you know what that's hearkening back to?
Not the lightsaber.
Did I say lightsaber?
Luke raises the X-Wing.
X-Wing. Sorry. Why did I say lightsaber? When Luke raises the X-Wing out of the water on, on the planet, what, Octo? When he raises that, I said to Kylaris, I was like, do you know what that's hearkening back to? I said, that's back to when he was training with Yoda on Dagobah, and he goes to try and raise the X-Wing, and he fails at it, and Yoda tells him that, he's like, I don't believe it. And Yoda's like, that's why you fail.
Right.
And so that I feel like is the one moment in all of the sequel trilogy that Luke is actually being Luke and his character arc is coming full circle. That, to me, that moment right there, chills. I get chills talking about it. I love. I freaked out. I love that moment. I cannot stand how they try to force us to believe that Rey and Poe and Finn have this like super tight bond. That felt not great. I thought that they did the best they could with Leia and her passing and her death and everything. I can't stand that they brought Palpatine back. Again, you killed him. He's dead. And even though like
the earlier story,
Legends brought him back a couple different ways, and I was kind of okay with that, but I had feelings about that with Legends back then too. You killed him. Are you so afraid of your own storytelling abilities that you can't do something else? He's dead. You know what I mean? Come up with a different idea. And that bugged me. Getting to this planet, Exegol or whatever, like, I don't know, all of that just felt weird. Endor, finding the Death Star. Okay, that thing blew up. Okay? And, like, there aren't enough pieces left to go find some Wayfinder thing that Palpatine had hidden in a side room that probably wasn't really there in his... I don't know. It all just starts falling apart for me when I start thinking about it too much. And I can't help but think about it too much. But there are moments in The Rise of Skywalker that I love. I'm not sure I was okay with Rey's lineage and things like that, but I don't know. All of that just felt like, the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, you could have done better. So that's where like, there are things I love about The Rise of Skywalker, but for the most part, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, I'm going to put it at 7 right now and we'll call it good. So. Yeah, that was cool. It was that to me, because it's harkening back to that whole moment with Luke at the beginning of his real change, right? Yeah. He also stops the saber from going into the fire, so maybe that's what you were thinking of. Yeah. And it was, see, I love that. I was like, oh dang, you know what I mean? Like,
That was just a direct jab.
And he's like, yeah, you know, you don't do that with a lightsaber or whatever, have some respect or whatever he said, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, and I liked that moment, but I almost am mad at why I like that moment, because The Last Jedi was so terrible in regard to that they even felt the need to put something, a real life jab at that movie in The Rise of Skywalker. So that's, you know, yeah, we needed some more Lukey moments. We did. Yeah, they're not a trio. They'd not established that well enough in 7 and 8. It's true. And when in the original trilogy, you get the original group, and that feels like a very natural coming together, becoming a family to me. They were three folks central to the Resistance, operating alongside one another in different areas missions, but they aren't chummy chum BFF Han Luke Leia style. Absolutely. I hate the non-epic battle with the starships going on during the end of Rise. Again, is Star Wars trying to be Harry Potter? Because if you've read Harry Potter has a similar ending where it's like, it's all looking real drab. It's not looking good, you guys. And then all of a sudden, like, you know, the chosen one, like even the
They
chosen,
essentially self-sacrifice, yeah.
and then come back, and then you know what I mean, and then like
Everyone's there to help.
and then
them.
everybody shows up to help when they weren't there to help before and stuff. It's like, it's literally like they ripped off the ending of Harry Potter. Anyway, so Rise of Skywalker for me is number 7. What's your number 7? Hold on. Murph's got a big... Rey as a Palpatine was superfluous. We didn't need to know anything about her origin for her to be who she was. Redeeming Kylo was more important, and also Rey had already spent 2 movies wrestling with her past, attempting to figure out who she was, and I actually like what 8 did with her and how it left her. Where she came from didn't matter. It was who she was and who she was with now that made her. Making her a Palpatine was redundant to her character development. I have mixed feelings about that, Murph, because on the one hand, I agree with you. She didn't have to be from anyone important. She didn't have to be. Kip Duran in the Legacy era is a perfect example of something like that. Super powerful in the Force. Didn't come from anyone important to any other plot. You know? And they could have done that. On the other hand, if they were gonna make her from somebody important, they could have done better. And yeah, all of that. Yeah, I don't know. And then for her to continue to be the only one calling her, so she's going to continue the Skywalkers, presumably. But she's not really a Skywalker, and that just feels, I don't know, that just feels a little, I don't know. I get what you're trying to do there, but it did feel uninspired. Yep. She had to go backwards in 9 after 2 whole movies of her figuring it all out. Yep. All right. Kyle Aris.
Well, my tentative number 7, you need to brace yourself.
Oh no. Well, I already know the original trilogy is in like your...
Yes, but do you know what order I have those in?
Oh gosh, no. But I feel like after that comment, I think I'm going to figure out what it is.
I'm going with Empire.
No!
I'm just here to ruffle all the feathers.
No! Are you serious?
Yeah.
I need to I need to know why.
Okay. Well, it's more my process of elimination. There's things about Empire that I don't like watching. Yeah, okay, Vader's all you could just... Hi, Darth Chaotix.
Hey, Chaotix.
Okay, so I don't personally like the Hoth battle's fine, whatever. I don't personally enjoy any of Luke's time on Dagobah and the Yoda training. I think it's boring. I think it's swampy. I'd rather it's like Rey being off away with Luke in Last Jedi, and you don't have the team together, and I hate that. Like, I hate that he's off by himself. I know he has to do his training and blah blah blah, but it's just like boring. And then I don't know, just there's nothing I can say that anyone here will want to hear.
Nope.
I'm gonna go forward and say that my Number 6 is A New Hope, and the reason that I ranked A New Hope above Empire is because if anything feels nostalgic to me about the original trilogy, it's A New Hope. And, like, I don't know, there's something about that story that's, like, you're introduced to all the characters, and, you know, it's a culmination, like, it can be a standalone movie, and it's not like, "Oh, there's a big cliffhanger at the end." It's like, "Oh, we defeated the Death Star and done." Chaotix is coming in at a horrible time
You guys,
for me to be representing everyone here. I'm being the I'm being the unpopular opinion. Thank you so much for the resub.
OZ and the Tater, subscribe for 7 months with Prime. Empire #1. For everybody in the channel, OZ and the Tater is actually Astrozoso. He and Misty D rebranded their channel together, and so this is their rebranded channel name. But that is our good friend Astrozoso. So, hey buddy, how are you? Thank you so much for the Prime.
Hope your stream went well.
Yeah, I hope you guys did good. Hope you had a lot of fun.
I'm just gonna apologize to anybody that just came in and they're witnessing me smack talking the original trilogy. If you were here at the beginning, you'd know it's my least favorite.
Just
and it's an unpopular opinion, and I'm owning it.
As a recap, this is Kylaris and I started this out by ranking the trilogies, where we saw the trilogies, and Kylaris's favorite is the prequel trilogy, followed by the sequel trilogy.
And that's dead close.
With the original trilogy last, and we discuss why. So I mean, the VOD will be up. You can re-listen to that. We've already been going 2 hours, so, and we've got more work to do, so we won't go through all that. Whereas mine is original trilogy, prequels, sequels, so it's very different. But man.
Oh man.
I don't even know how to. I mean, it's your opinion, and I get why for you.
And I also get why it's everybody's, not everybody's, but I get why it's many people's favorites. And I'm just like, meh. It's like, yeah, it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Oh, Murph, we love you, Kylaris, but this is just wrong. Oh man, it was great. Thanks. I've been listening for a bit. Was going to read Rhythm, but this is too engrossing. Oh, thanks, man. Oh, Rhythm of War is out. I'm so excited.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah.
Turn it back over to Oren so he can like talk some sensical opinions to you guys before you all just come hunt me down.
Well, the hard part is I'm not going to be able to get to my Empire spot for a really long time.
I haven't really talked about, you know, your sequel movies that much when you put them in your list.
Yeah, Selfish Lock said Empire isn't my #1, but to rank it lower than A New Hope,
Yeah.
Oh, Misty, I still love you, Kylaris.
Like I said earlier, my entire ranking list could be completely different tomorrow. I'm just going on feels right now.
Yeah, that's fair. And honestly, knowing you,
I don't know.
Knowing you and all the conversations we've had about this over the years, not necessarily ranking it just like this, but just talking about it, you know what I mean? Like, I can see that. I get it. Man, that's just hard. That's hard to hear, especially because like Empire is regarded as one of the greatest movies.
That, like somehow once a week, I don't know.
It's like one of the great. It's regarded as potentially the greatest movie of all time.
Once again, you're speaking to somebody who didn't watch it from a. I don't think I ever like. I think I always knew the spoiler in that. I don't think I ever like watched it and I was like, oh, this is crazy. Right. Oh my gosh. Like I don't have that experience in my repertoire. So it didn't hit me and have that same effect upon my first viewing. It probably was me being in the theater when I was a teenager and I didn't care about Star Wars.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's just, you know, first impressions and it's hard to like get past that.
Yeah.
And I totally get why people who consumed it the correct way probably view it so much higher. But it's just, it's lackluster to me because I didn't have that. So I get it, and I just
see. And again, like I said, I get your perspective. And I'm not gonna fault you. I think the reaction just comes from really long-term diehard Star Wars fans. You know what I mean? like it's just almost hard to hear. You know what I mean? And it's like I can't fault you. That's your perspective. That's your opinion. That's how, coming into Star Wars how you did and whatever. I mean, I get it. It's just I think more the reaction is not that I want to argue that you're wrong. It's just almost like when you hear that as a Star Wars fan, like a mega Star Wars fan, you just go, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Empire, you're not my favorite.
Oh, Chaotix didn't have the gas moment either. Oh, it's so good. We were just saying a little bit ago when we showed Ben and Emily, they've now watched 4, 5, 6, 1, and 2, and when we showed that to them, their eyes when Vader was like, "No, I'm your father," and like they freaked out. They like Em just stood there for a while and like stared at the screen, and then she looked over at me and she was like, "Dad, is that true?" And I said, well, I mean, Vader's saying it is, and he told Luke to search his feelings, and Luke has this moment of like, no, you know what I mean, and whatever. But I'm like,
that's impossible.
We don't know yet for sure. It's not confirmed, but that's what they're saying. And she was like, I don't, but he can't be her father. You know what I mean? And like there was this whole moment. It was, I definitely think that's going to shape how they watch these movies and how they remember them, you know what I mean? So I have decided to fault you, then forgive you. It may take some time though. right Selfish Lock and I actually bonded over Star Wars. That was one of the things we first became friends over. We were both at his girlfriend's house. His girlfriend at the time was one of my friends from high school. That's how we met. And we bonded over Star Wars, and him and his buddy doing impressions. So like anytime we go, someone who loves you, Leia, that's from Selfish Lock, like and so we still do that today. And we're just big Star Wars fans, and like I said,
I technically bonded whilst playing Star Wars Galaxies together.
There you go. Hey, okay, I'm gonna get into my number 6 because we still got a ways to go. My number 6 is let me think about this a second. Okay, I'm gonna put an asterisk on that. My number 6 is The Force Awakens. There is a lot of things that I like about The Force Awakens. I love the beginning. I think it's cool to get that take of someone who's part of like this Church of the Force who can't use the Force. So there's a belief there beyond even just, I can move things with my mind. You know what I mean? Like that to me seems plausible and likely. And I like that character, even though he doesn't have a lot of screen time. I like, it's, what's his name? He's the old guy that is running that. He's head of that village where Poe is on his mission.
Yeah, I don't know what his name is.
I liked Poe at the beginning. I feel like his character fell real flat later, and again, that was a mistake. But I liked Poe in the beginning. I liked his whole mission there. I liked the introduction to Kylo Ren, even though in ways I sort of have issues in general with Kylo Ren. Not the actor, not how he's portrayed, but just I don't know, some choices. But anyway, story wise. I like that whole intro. I like Finn's story, his story of change. What's that?
Lor San Tekka.
Yeah, Lor San Tekka, that's right. I like Finn's moment of change. I like his escape. I all of that is just fantastic. I even don't mind, how Rey kind of kicks off in that.
Where are the cons that is making this below Phantom Menace for you? That's my question.
It really bugs me how derivative part of my love for Force Awakens is the trailer. There's been an awakening. Chills for sure. I pooped my pants first time I watched the trailer.
It's a real problem.
He just sees it and it's like, oh.
You guys.
I still do. It's really a problem. It was exciting, right? It was exciting to get back into Star Wars. There's just a lot of good things about it. Han Solo, I loved getting back to Han Solo. I hated I hated that, but here's the deal. Here's some of my problems. And I'll start with Han. I hated that he and Leia, even if you could make an argument, and I think you can, that they possibly would have fought a lot and whatever, which I don't really like. I think, again, their character progressions were pushing them in better directions. Not to say there wouldn't be problems. And again, I came from Legends, reading the Legends, where they are, I mean, even if they had rough patches, they love each other. They are a couple that is happy to be together, and they make a life for themselves. And so them fighting for what seems like a long time and being separated, didn't like that. I didn't like that Han lost the Millennium Falcon for so long. Han and the Falcon are synonymous to me. Like they're one and the same. I don't know. I didn't like that. I didn't like how derivative it was of A New Hope. I think they could have done better. Once again, and I said this earlier, and this is a reoccurring theme for me with the sequel trilogy, you were handed Star Wars. You can do better. You can do way better.
And I think that before the episodes 8 and 9 happened and you had only seen The Force Awakens, I think that you thought it was better than that. I think you saw the potential of where it could go, and as a standalone movie, you were like, that was awesome. Like, I think that
Yeah.
you're basing the trajectory that took off after that too much on this alone movie.
That's fair, and that's why I think The Force Awakens is like where it's at for me even. Hey Kenobi, how are ya? Welcome. Glad you're here.
We've been trying to nail down this ranking for over 2 hours, and here we
are. I knew this was going to be a topic that carried us a while. I knew it would be. I knew we'd have a lot to say, and I knew that the community would have a lot to say too, which is why we picked it. I didn't want it to be a half an hour stream and we're done. You know what I mean? That's a boring Wednesday night.
You can never be a half.
I know. Seriously. But anyway, it is fun. It's a lot of fun, Kenobi.
Go back and catch some of the VOD if you have time, because yes, we've covered 2 hours of stuff already.
Yeah. I do like The Force Awakens a lot. It is, I mean, it's one of my favorite. It is my favorite sequel movie for sure. There was a lot of potential still in it, even after seeing it several times. I was okay with it. The reason why it comes where it does, where it falls where it does for me is simply, one, because of stronger movies farther up the list, and also because it was just so derivative, and I'm like, you could have done better. And then the couple of things that rubbed me the wrong way: Han and Leia's relationship at the time, the Falcon being away from Han for so long just didn't feel right to me. Just things like that. I was even okay with Kylo Ren killing Han at the end of that. That wasn't even a point for me that ruined the movie for me. Could it have gone differently? Yeah, maybe, and I would have been fine with that, but I wasn't upset about that. It was very derivative. It to me, it almost kind of launched the sequel trilogy into, it was really good on its own, but considering it could have launched us in a different direction, they could have done better. And that's my thing with The Force Awakens. So after 7, I did walk away hyped as heck, but I also couldn't help but feel this lacked a little bit of originality. Small band of rebels versus a big empire type order. Oh, Starkiller Base. I want to touch on Starkiller Base before I end. Small group of fighters attacking a command station, desperately holding on to diminishing hope. So I mentioned again, like, a second Death Star earlier. Just I'm fine with that, but like, come on, you guys are smart. Do something. Starkiller Base was the dumbest part of that movie. When that happened, I was like, okay, here we go again. You know what I mean? Like, again, you guys can't come up with something better than this, right? Like, oh, hey, this time they've made an entire, it's not just that's no moon, that's a space station. It's not that. It's, oh, that's no planet, that's a planet.
I mean, once you have something that has power to destroy that much life and whatever, and it's all about weapons with the baddies, like, how are you gonna like find something that's a bigger foil to the heroes,
You
then
go in a completely different
that's
direction.
not an idea because apparently all of those people didn't either.
You go in a completely different direction. You don't go super weapon again. You don't go super weapon. You go with like fleet of trained assassins. You know what I mean? You go with, hey, all these force sensitive kids that Palpatine rounded up, hey, we made them into an army and it has survived him, and this is how. Like, you do something like that. You do a bunch of little moving pieces rather than a giant super weapon again. That was stupid. And the fact that everybody, like Han could see on Takadana, could see like the blast going across the sky. Give me a break. I don't know. And you know, and of course, like, yep, we're gonna target the planet with all the really important New Republic people. And so basically the New Republic's dead as soon as anybody who's just watched the movies got them. Great. Because Star Wars, you know, like that Starkiller Base is the worst part of The Force Awakens. I have never liked that part. I'm totally good with the movie apart from Starkiller Base. When I think about The Force Awakens, I think more about the beginning. More of the beginning part. I like their interactions on Starkiller Base. I just hate Starkiller Base as a thing. I hate it. It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. And I hate to see the New Republic literally die the moment it's introduced in the movies. Like, I'm familiar with the New Republic. I read books, but like, you know, I don't know. Anyway. We should all share our Star Wars polls.
I agree, Kenobi, and feel free to
in
do
Discord. Absolutely.
I'd like to see everyone's list because I'm having such a hard time with mine.
Tuna, yeah, no doubt. I thought Force Awakens was a good jumping off point for a new franchise. I thought it was okay. It was derivative, but I knew why. I kind of knew why they chose that. I just think they could have chose to do it differently too, and would have been just fine. And to hear now that like they came to George and said, "Yeah, we're not doing anything you thought of. We're doing this," and he kicked him out of his ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Return of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith are awesome. Oh, we're getting there. Full obsession with large super weapons. Is that the only way to show your power and spread fear? Absolutely, Merv. For real. Stop it. Stop it, Star Wars. That Attack of the Clone Obi-Wan mullet. Oh, so sexy. The hotness. Jedi up front, Billy Ray Cyrus in the back. Also in The Rise of Skywalker, it was like, remember how they had huge bag cell phones and brick battery cell phones, and now we have supercomputers in a smaller form than a basic calculator? Well, we took the Death Star tech and equipped it to Star Destroyers, so now instead of one huge super weapon, we have thousands of them. Oh, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That was stupid. That was stupid. Jedi mullets. I know A New Hope will be below Empire in my Discord post.
Har, 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 har.
My poll: number 1, Return of the Jedi; 2, Empire Strikes Back; 3, Rise of Skywalker; 4, Rogue One; 5, A New Hope; 6, Revenge of the Sith. Nice. I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready to go though.
Okay, I'm good with Force Awakens. We're
Why did you put an asterisk by it though? Did you explain that?
Because my next one, they could be interchangeable.
Okay, let's see it then.
Okay, my next one is Revenge of the Sith. Asterisk.
From above, that's okay. Revenge of the Fifth, you mean? 5th place.
Tuna. Revenge of the Sith is my 5th, and I feel like that kind of flip-flops a little bit with The Force Awakens. My reasoning being, there's a lot of good I like in The Force Awakens, and just some things that I'm kind of like, yeah, they really could have done better. And then Starkiller Base, which is the only thing I really, really dislike.
Are there people in here who have that as their favorite?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's going to be some words. 7, Attack of the Clones; 8, The Last Jedi; 9, Solo; 10, The Force Awakens; 11, The Phantom Menace. Oh, that's fair. That's interesting, Kenobian. That's interesting. Yeah. I told you.
So different. I think it's really interesting.
I told you the other day, I'm interested to know why. I'm interested in all of that. Why? Because it's all about perspective, right? And that's always really interesting to me. I'm done now. I want to include
courage is.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. I haven't seen either of those,
I
but
haven't seen the holiday special, but we did watch the Lego
cringe.
holiday special
Yeah,
tonight with
yeah, that was fun.
Disney
Um,
Plus.
but yeah, Revenge of the Sith flip flops for me with Force Awakens. Things I really I'm gonna start with what I dislike about Revenge of the Sith, because I think there's some really good things to end on with my opinion of it. I don't like Anakin's turn. While there are elements of that feel very realistic to me, that feel really good to me about, I mean, good.
Hold on.
What?
Can I interrupt for a second? Does that mean Phantom Menace is going to be number 4 above that? Oh, okay.
We'll get there.
That is surprising to me.
We'll get there. I dislike elements of Anakin's turn. Join me. No, I can't. Join me. Okay. Like, barf. Oh gosh. And like, Anakin, I can't hold on. It's like, and then he turns into a prune. Oh, Ian McDiarmid's amazing, but that's the one part that I'm like, just. General Grievous, I think, is okay as a character, but he's another one of those that it's like, we get so little of him, but they just want to sit there and force you to feel like this character, and I don't.
I have a question for Selfish Lock, and that is, since he said, Matt, you may be dead to me based on the Phantom Menace realization, okay, I will work on forgiving you both. Which is worse, which is worse to you, ranking the Phantom Menace as the top prequel or putting A New Hope above Empire? You haven't pointed the wrong way. Nice.
The bad CGI in Revenge of the Sith, all the prequels. I mean, it was a new tech. Like, back then when I first watched it, I thought it was incredible.
He loves his coffee boy.
That transformation scene is one of the dumbest things in movie history, yeah. CGI wasn't terrible in The Revenge of the Sith. It's Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones that are hard to watch.
What?
Like, Palpatine's transfer, or Vader's transformation even. Like, it's just... I think a lot of the elements leading up to that make sense if the acting and some of the things, some of the story was tweaked a little bit. Like, a lot of that makes sense to me, but it's just... Hey, now take it easy on my coffee boy. I love General Grievous.
I just want coffee.
I like Grievous as a concept. I like how Grievous was kind of portrayed. There's just not that much to him in that. I can't hold on.
He has 4 lightsabers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as a concept, he's a really cool. I'm gonna have to watch that clip, Murph.
Oh boy.
Should I play it on screen?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Give me a second. Barf. Barf. Hold on. How do I want to display capture this? Have a better scene. Give me a second, you guys. Might just add it to our current. Sure.
Cool 14. Yeah, he was definitely playing cleanup.
In here a second. Hold on. Barf. Oh gosh. And like, again, I can't hold on. It's like, and then he turns into a prune. Oh, Ian McDiarmid's amazing, but that's the one part that I'm like, barf. 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 Oh.
Your face.
No. Oh, that's funny. Oh man, you guys. That was great.
Anyway.
Oh.
We we had to relive that moment again, I think.
J.J. Abrams poured his heart into The Rise of Skywalker, but just didn't get it right in The Force Awakens. Yeah, there's things that I liked, and there's things I'm not. And I think J.J. didn't want to do a third movie. He didn't want to do a second movie. J.J. did that movie for money. They panicked. Disney absolutely panicked, and they went, JJ, we need you back. And I have a feeling, I wonder if he told them no first, but when they throw a bunch of, who's going to say no? They're going to throw a bunch of money at you, a whole bunch of money.
I literally read that as the book explains the Emperor melting butter.
A lot of cleanup block, absolutely.
Microwave wrong.
JJ was playing cleanup, and from what I hear, Kathleen Kennedy swooped in even after all of that and changed a whole lot again. So JJ didn't even get the movie JJ wanted, so, and he didn't even want.
You're so right. I don't know why Phantom Menace isn't on his list yet either. I think we're about to find out. Do I have to catch up?
The electricity part is better than the barf. Unlimited power. Oh my gosh. Why isn't Phantom Menace on your list yet, Oren? You're scaring me. I'm a scary guy. Scary bloke, Kenobian. Scary bloke. But yeah, so anyways, I dislike those parts. Padme's death is just stupid. Padme's death is possibly
a combination of both of those stupid characters.
Padme's death is possibly the most unsatisfying part of that entire movie. What a stupid death. Well, you know, physically she's totally fine. We don't know why she's just giving up. Ugh.
I think because Phantom Menace isn't yet on your list, you're breaking the hearts of everyone in chat.
I'm okay with that.
You're going down a path they can't
follow. Yeah. I'll get there. I'll get to my reasons. So it is the weakest part of Revenge. Revenge of the Sith, like, again, Palpatine, amazing in most of that. I mean, there's a reason we always, I mean, how many of us have brought up the whole line or even the meme of, like, you know, have you heard the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise? You know what I mean? And it's like that whole moment and the music and everything and the lighting. It's so good. It's so good. And he's getting his hooks into Anakin, and it's so good. He's dangling what Anakin wants, what he needs. And it's just done in such a masterful way. His whole takeover was masterful. Like, Revenge of the Sith is the culmination of the Palpatine story, in my opinion. You know, even though he dies back in, you know, way now in Return of the Jedi or whatever. Palpatine shines in Revenge of the Sith, and that's what I love about it. I love Order 66 makes a lot of sense to me. How would you kill all these Jedi? It you know, brings in the whole.
That might be the creepiest thing you've ever said. Order 66 makes a lot of sense to me.
as a story element.
No, that was horrifying.
Not it makes a lot of sense to me. You know, I would do that. That'd be my plan. No. You were my brother, Oren. Yeah. Hey, Mr. and the Mrs., how are ya? What's going on? We're talking some Star Wars. It's getting real heated up in here. Until you have a list with Phantom Menace that low. Good. Yes, Anakin. Release your anger. But yeah, like, there's those things. I cannot stand that about Revenge of the Sith. But I love Palpatine's takeover. The entirety of Palpatine's takeover is a masterpiece. It is a masterpiece. And while, again, Anakin and Padme are kind of cringy, it's not as cringy as Attack of the Clones. They're married now. You know, whatever, they're having a baby. But here's something too, that when I watched the movie, I was like, Anakin is the most powerful Jedi that ever existed. He can't tell there's twins there. He can't tell that there are two of his babies and not just one.
I don't know.
So that's where that story kind of moving on, like, that doesn't set up implications real good for me. But and then Padme's death. I always imagine Padme, or Luke and Leia's mom, right? I imagined her going with Leia, which is why her line in Return of the Jedi saying, yeah, I vaguely remember her, basically. You know what I mean? She died when I was very young. that always implied to me that Leia knew her real mother, even if she was really little. And so I always assumed Padme went with Bail. She was helping with the resistance behind the scenes, but the more that Vader and the Emperor took over, the more she saw what her husband did, the more it just broke her. And I don't know how I imagined her dying, but not being completely physically fine. And there was the idea that she was sensitive with the Force. On Naboo, how would she have been found by the Jedi? I don't know. And I mean, like, her parents may have said no. Who knows? But like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. But Revenge of the Sith, in a lot of ways, I call it's Palpatine's masterpiece, and that's why I put it where I do. Palpatine's masterpiece. Anakin becoming Darth Vader had some clunky points, but overall, I think it hit the marks. It showed at least in a very like quick, too fast treadmill kind of way, but you can get the gist of this is how Anakin Skywalker becomes Darth Vader. I get that.
Treadmill was in the factory in episode 2.
Oh, right. It's treason then. Yo, Kylaris, what's your number 5? For sure, Kylaris hit us.
With his life.
Yep.
My number 5 is The Last Jedi.
Okay. Give me a second.
Honestly, I feel unsure about every single one of my answers, so there's that.
Right.
But that will make it my lowest ranked of the sequels. Because
The Last Flippin' Jedi.
Don't put that in my list.
Y'all.
Yeah, I think there's too much trouble with it. There's a lot of parts I like about it. I obviously like the sequels a lot. There's the most wrong with it, I think, out of all the sequels, and that's why it's the least of those.
I'm responding to Murph a second.
Oh, The Last Jedi is also Murph's number 5.
You brought him here to kill me. Brought him here to kill me. He will try. Oh my gosh, seriously, so many good one-liners from that.
Sweater. I thought he wears a sweater in Rise of Skywalker.
It's a Kylo sweater.
Kenobi, I'm not falling for that.
Right. So, like, any more thoughts on that, or?
I mean, we kind of already talked about it a little bit. There's all of the sequels for me were great movie-going experiences. I loved the like gasp moments and whatever, but like I said, I didn't like the Canto Bite part. I didn't like what they did with Finn during it. I didn't like Rey and Finn being separated for the same reason I don't like Empire when Luke gets separated from the rest of the group. Like, I don't like spending time like that, and I get why it's there in the story, but it's boring to me, and I want the like band back together,
Why do you rank it so high?
Because as entertaining movies, the sequels are still very high for me. And there's a lot I like about it. See, I didn't really like Laura Dern's character as a whole until she smashed herself through that other ship, and then I was like, that was awesome.
Right.
I hated her purple hair though. I thought that was the weirdest looking choice ever.
Yeah. Yep.
I know it's Star Wars and everything, but even for Star Wars, I'm like, what's with her hair?
Yeah. Right. Oh. Tuna just said, I love the throw to Kylo with his shirt off in the Star Wars Lego special. We watched that tonight. I laughed so hard. It was so funny. And Hux comes in and can't talk to him.
I'll just come back later.
Rose Tico's is bad. See,
even Palpatine and Vader came back through the portal and they were like, can't you put a shirt on?
Yeah. Kenobi and C, like, I don't mind Rose as a character in general. I don't like what they did with her character. I was okay with her as a character. They just made some really weird decisions.
We watched it too, Mr. and the Mrs. with our kids after dinner because they actually watched it first and they're like, you guys have to watch this. Anyway, I have no problems with Rose except for she is the representation of Finn's crappy storyline. Like, I don't think that's on her, and I think that she was acting it fine and everything else. It's just Finn's storyline went like down the tubes a bit, and she was there for that.
Wait, Mr. and Mrs. He said we watched it tonight.
I think
The
it was Lego
the
special.
Lego special, yeah, we on Disney Plus. It was so fun. The kids thought it was so funny. It was good. We liked it. I love what the Lego. I would love what the Lego
Lego movie
company
humor
does
is
with them.
great.
Yeah. Well,
We also love the Lego Batman movie. That one's hilarious.
it's like they're back in time and there's two Hans and they look at each other and you want to shoot first?
Yeah.
Do you want to shoot first? Yeah, go ahead. You know, and I'm like, that's great. Bean loved it. I for sure. I loved it. It was great. Yeah, that's yeah. Rose doesn't bug me so much. It's what they did. It's where they took Rose's character and like, and that's kind of the thing. Even from a writing standpoint, you can develop characters without developing their place in the plot right away. And so as a character, I can kind of separate that. As a character, I don't mind Rose. I think her character is fine. I like the idea she's a, you know, she's a grease monkey in just in this machine that is war, and she somehow gets involved, and this is how, and I'm cool with that and everything. But where they take that character, but
yeah, it could have been totally different and better. Vader and Rey saying, "Oh,
yes, I said I literally said everybody loves that kid. Like,
it was pretty cute.
it was great. Unfortunately, I got to go to bed. I have an early start tomorrow. Are y'all going to post your finish list after the stream? Sure, Murph, for sure.
Sure, we can do that for
Murph,
you.
thanks for hanging out so long. Sorry that we're only to number 5 right now.
We'll go fairly quickly
faster.
because they maybe. Well,
Yeah.
I say that, but you know, yes, we will post the list for you. Don't worry. We appreciate you hanging out so
Oh
long.
my gosh, Locke.
Roast for the Golden Girls.
Right.
I mean, that would change everything.
Yeah.
She's just randomly in The Last Jedi. Betty White.
Sorry, you're good. Murph, don't apologize, man. I know it's late. Hey, everybody, big shout outs to Murph Herder, one of our mods, fantastic community member. I mean, just keeps us going, I think, you know. When things start getting quiet, Murph starts going, hey y'all, let's talk. Really appreciate him.
And he's trying to speed us along, which we also need.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Murph. I'm sorry. But yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, okay. So yeah, I get that. I get why you like Force Awakens. It's interesting to me because you look at these.
Did you just say Force Awakens? Because it's Last Jedi.
Yeah, Last Jedi. My bad. You look at these more as a cinematic experience beyond almost more than just like how the story
I
fits.
definitely do.
Yeah.
That's what I live these movies in the moment. What the experience was like for me. Like I said, my experience with the original trilogy was lackluster. I was like, what are these movies? I'm watching them out of order. I already know all the spoilers. Like, it was like, okay. And, you know, I went into the sequels, for example, with like big expectations, and like it really like mostly delivered. And then until you analyzed it so much that I was like, yeah, I see your point.
Because that's what I do.
And same with the prequels. Like the CGI for that point in time was crazy.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
yeah. So what's next?
You want to give your number 4?
Sure. I have. Let me think really quick.
That means it's a contentious one.
I think I'm gonna go with Return of the Jedi.
I knew you were going to say that.
Did ya?
Yep. Interesting. Why?
Well, I've decided just now today that it's my favorite of the original trilogy,
Okay.
which is why it's higher than the other two.
It's fair.
It's higher than The Last Jedi because I think The Last Jedi is more problematic, and I need to give some kind of like up credit to the originals. And oh, it's too low. Well, at least it's in my top 4. I mean, it was looking grim for most of y'all. Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Okay. So why I like it better?
Hold on,
than-
guys. It's a mercy. It's a mercy number 4, right? Because she's got to give some props to the original trilogy, right?
It's still gonna have prequels and sequels above it. So, yes. But anyway, why I like it better than Empire and A New Hope is, I don't know. I think that like I've given the reasons why I don't like the other ones as much. I don't say I don't like them because I do. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I like I don't know. I can't explain it. I don't love Ewoks. That part's not high on
Okay.
my list, but I do like some of the stuff that happens on Endor. Um, like Lando stuff is all right.
I like
Um,
Lando.
and like, you know, the Sarlacc beginning all that, Princess Leia, whatever. Like that's all cool, I think. And then, and then the culmination of that entire storyline and we think we've finally defeated the emperor and the second Death Star and all the things. Like it's just you know it's a good finish to it
Hmm.
feels like a good finish and
It's a
everyone,
satisfying ending.
and then you find out not only do you like for sure Vader's Luke's father, but also we find like Leia finds out finally her relation to all this, and I don't know, there's just a lot of good points that I enjoy.
Yeah.
I can't really specify it much more than that.
You
I think
just you enjoy it more than yeah.
I like the feel of it, and kind of where all the different character relationships end up.
Yeah, that's fair. Which is why it's the best law. It's the best lock. Okay. Ready?
Okay. Oh, well, you know what this is already. Anticlimactic.
I know.
It's something that's way too high on the list.
Uh my number 4 is the Phantom Menace. I really don't mind the Phantom Menace. Yes, there are problems. Uh Jake Lloyd gets a whole bunch of crap, and I really feel for that kid because I feel like this just destroyed him as a person, and we won't go real deep into that. But it's just really sad what happened with him. I think for a kid his age being cast in a Star Wars movie, I think he did a pretty dang good job. You know what I mean? And yeah, was some of it awkward and whatever? Yep. You're talking about a 8-year-old kid, you know? And yeah, there's been some pretty phenomenal 8-year-old actors, but I don't know. I give him a pass on that. So I don't even want to bring that into the equation. I give Jake Lloyd a pass. Um I I really dislike the virgin birth. And I know they've had different ideas in the Star Wars metaverse, whatever, of is that real? Is it not? Whatever. You know what I mean? They've toyed with that. But I really dislike that part, but that's one of the only things I really dislike about it. I love Darth Maul. I think Darth Maul is one of the best villains that they've had in Star Wars, beyond Vader and Palpatine. I
He's
think
pretty chatty. I wish they wouldn't talk so much.
right, yeah. It's pronounced Dennis the Menace. uh oh, Locke, C-3PO's retelling of the adventures. Yeah. Um, I love Darth Maul. As we've said before already tonight, Darth Maul should have been in the story longer. I don't think he should have died then. I really think if you're gonna kill him, leave him dead. He's dead, and it bugs me a little bit that some of the extra stuff has brought him back. Because I'm like, you missed your mark with this. You did, and now you're trying to get it back because he is a really popular character. He's amazing. There's so much mystique about him. He's so confident. He's so powerful. He's just a really cool flippin' Sith. He is. And he's the Sith that reveals the Sith to the Jedi. And that is just so cool. After 1,000 years, you know what I mean? He's the first one that they see. He's the first one out in the field actually doing things. And he's such a cool character, even though we don't get as much. And I feel like we should have gotten more Darth Maul. I love Darth Maul. I love him tracking down tracking down Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. I love all that. I appreciate the Trade Federation stuff, even though that might not be everybody's favorite thing, because I think that's how something like the Empire would start, right? Palpatine's machinations are already at play, and you can see that happening with the discord he's putting into the governmental body of the Republic. And that makes sense because the Sith have tried to just straight up fight them over and over and over in the past, and they always lose. And the whole point of the rule of two was we're going to become powerful enough and knowledgeable enough, and we are going to strike from the shadows. They will never see it coming. And who's going to see something as boring as a planetary blockade being the start of Palpatine's takeover? Nobody. So to me, that's brilliant. Maul is cool, but he doesn't commit enough genocide. Orin. Yeah. Darth Maul is so cool. Just wish we would have seen more of him in the movie. Absolutely. Honestly, I think after Phantom Menace, they realized the gem that they had in Darth Maul. They realized it. But anyway, so I love Darth Maul. I love the beginnings of Palpatine's takeover. I appreciate that part. I really like Otoh Gunga. I'm kind of going through the movie in my head. I really like Otoh Gunga as a thing. I don't mind the Gungans as a race. I even enjoy how they kind of bring something different than just blasters to the table. I like that. Jar Jar is super annoying. I really saw potential in him, though. I wish they would have made him Plagueis.
That would change everything for you.
I've heard hints of that. I wish they would have made him Plagueis. That would have been amazing. It would have fit into the Palpatine and Plagueis moving pieces, being very active and doing different things to accomplish the same goal. I think they missed an opportunity there, so I have a little respect for Jar Jar. I also think, again, Ahmed Best took a lot of crap for, he got paid to play in Star Wars. He played a part. He did what they asked him. He got, and again, who would not have taken that opportunity? I would have. Even knowing Jar Jar, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe not if I knew the backlash, but a lot of money to play a character. He did what he was told. So I think he did well there. I do think pod racing is fun. I don't know if it was totally necessary, but I thought it was really fun. It's cool to see things like that happen in Star Wars. Not everything.
I think it was a really good cinematic action sequence that they could do a lot with, even like furthering like video games and stuff. But at the same time, I think it helped show child Anakin's like piloting skills and Jedi reactions and stuff. I'm the only human who can do it and stuff. So like it had its purpose for fleshing out his character.
Yep. I understand the hate on midichlorians. I wish they would have never included that. The Force does not need to make sense in that kind of scientific way. It doesn't. So I think the midichlorians were absolutely unnecessary, but I kind of understand why he did it. It bugs me still. I wish he wouldn't have hit that in the virgin birth. I wish they wouldn't have even gone down that road, but they did. It is what it is. I don't know, but I love Naboo. I don't even mind Amidala that much. It feels a little weird, but I like the whole thing with her handmaids and the decoy and how she meets Anakin originally and stuff. I thought that was all okay. I'd keep that, if I could rewrite it mostly. And it was just a cool experience. It was like this. I remember going to see it and being like, this is the first new Star Wars movie in how many years? And it's
for that.
Yeah, and it's starting off this origin trilogy, which I love origin stories, you guys. I love origin stories. Harry Potter #6, Half-Blood Prince is my favorite for that reason. So I mean, like, if you've read it, you'll know why then. I love origins. So like all of that, it was a whole cinematic experience. It was very different. It was the New Republic or the Old Republic for the first time, seeing the Jedi. I just loved all that. And so for all of its faults, and it has them, don't get me wrong, it has them, but for all of their faults, I feel like the Phantom Menace has some really great stuff. Oh, and Qui-Gon. I'm gonna end it with Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon is amazing. Qui-Gon is the Jedi I think we all want. Qui-Gon is the Old Republic Jedi that we all wanted. He is the quintessential Jedi. I love Qui-Gon. And he's another one that, like, I know why they killed him. I wish he would have been in more. Qui-Gon is fantastic. Love him. Great. Yep. And so yeah, with that, Phantom Menace is up there for me.
He's one of my faves. I think we've talked about, like, when we were playing Battlefront 2 and stuff, we've discussed a lot about, like, who's your favorite character and blah, blah, blah. And I feel like I always would name Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. They were, like, high up on my list.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. Obi-Wan doesn't have much of a part. He doesn't do too much in the Phantom Menace, but I love what we get of Obi-Wan in that movie, and I like seeing him in Padawan, on the cusp of knighthood. I love seeing Obi-Wan in that role. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why it ranks so high for me.
Well, it's cool to see what training Obi-Wan came from
Yep.
to know why he is the way he is too.
Yeah, and I think too, in a way, I look at the Phantom Menace in the way that you look at the sequel trilogies, a little more in that light. Like, I can kind of forgive the story issues because as a movie, I just enjoy watching it. And besides the spitting, I even like Boss Nass. Like, I don't know. So that's where I sit on that. That's why Phantom Menace is so high for me. So okay, you go. You go, because you're more of a surprise up in this top 3 than I am.
I'm more of a surprise. Oh,
That didn't go through.
Sorry, wrong button. Yeah. Well, okay. We see on your list that you have 3 spots left, and none of the originals are up there yet. So it's just a matter of what order they go in, and we already know what the first one is. So really, the only thing up for debate is your 2 and 3.
Yep.
So
Should I just put my number 1 up there now? No, I'll wait. But anyway, go ahead.
it's not like you haven't told us a zillion times what it is.
I know.
Okay, for number 3, I have, and 2, I have to say, this was a close one. I'm gonna go with Revenge of the Sith.
Okay. Thoughts?
I think it's the best prequel. I mean, we've already talked about it a lot. There's parts about it that are cringy to me, but it's the culmination of Palpatine's plans and actually finally getting to see through the origin story how Anakin becomes Vader, and for better or worse, like that's still cool. What?
He just called you Kyle Layers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, I put it above Return of the Jedi. I don't like the originals as much as the rest of you. Be okay with it. To the Kyler. That's where I live. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have much more to say of it than that. I think for many reasons it's my favorite of the prequels. And I don't like it better than my 1 or 2.
Yeah. Palpatine's takeover is just, and the music in that movie too, you know what I mean? Like, Palpatine's takeover is just brilliant. Just,
Oh yeah.
it's just
I
so
love it
good.
all.
That is the best, man, the best part of that movie. Anyway, that's all you got?
I think so. I think we've covered a lot of it already, so I'm not going to waste too much time on it.
This one, okay, you guys, I waffle on this a little bit. It's really hard. I honestly, like, when I think I know what my 2 and 3 are, I have a hard time. Like, Locke, I don't even know.
I think you just told me what your order was the other day, and I'm trying to remember what it was, but it was surprising because it was not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So have you stayed with that, or did you change?
See, I don't know. I'm
Don't
questioning.
pressure.
Yeah, see, I'm not succumbing to pressure. It's hard because I'm such an original trilogy person, right? And original trilogy is my 1, 2, and 3, and it's so hard. Cannot. I honestly, Locke, I waffle on it, and here's why, and I'll talk about this real quick. 6 is a great movie. It looks better. The acting in general, I feel like, is better. The dialogue in general, I feel like, is better, even though there's a couple of weird moments and stuff, and like, but A New Hope is where it all starts. And I love that starting point. It's the same reason why Harry Potter Book 1, Philosopher's or Sorcerer's Stone, whatever you want to call it, is my second favorite book, because it's what kicks off everything. It's what brings you into this world. And that's what's really, I love that. It's very special to me. I like the story, but also, like, half the time you spend it in the Death Star and there isn't a whole lot to look at, and, like, you know what I mean? The story's fun, but it's not super, diverse in where you're at and things like that. I like Tatooine. I like what goes on in Mos Eisley and stuff like that. I will admit I'm not a huge fan of Endor itself, even though I really like trees and forests and things like that. Endor's just kind of okay to me. Some of that feels a little hokey, whatever. I mean, you're on Dagobah for just a little bit, which I don't mind Dagobah. I like Dagobah. You're on Dagobah for a little bit, and then Yoda dies, and like yeah, that kind of needed to happen, but and I don't know. It's really hard. My mouth is filled with pennies. So much bile. Oh my gosh. Return of the Jedi is the peak of the series, the original, not the Lucas edition. The originals for sure, but origin story. Lucas destroyed Jabba's palace in the special edition. Yeah. Lucas could have just left that alone a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. Endor's the best. There's parts of it that I like. I don't like totally hate it. It's just like, I don't know. There's just parts of it that are a little, I don't even mind the Ewoks, but I mind some of the parts with the Ewoks. And like, I just feel so back and forth about it. But Endor is beautiful. It's beautiful. I love it. But like, as aesthetically, but just kind of some of the things that happen. Some of it's really fun and some of it's a little, those little evil teddy bears are gonna come poke you now. They don't take words of Endor lightly.
How do you feel about the fact that the main Ewok grew up to be Professor Flitwick?
Totally fine.
Oh, okay.
Wicket would.
Also head of Ravenclaw.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's
weight loss goal.
I think
the redwoods.
Again, some of the music that like that. Oh, I love it. She hates it. But
it's because you always like creepily sing it to me at inopportune times.
Yeah. I'm like hiding, so around a corner or whatever, and I started singing that. She's like, "Knock it off!" The music though is great. Vader and Luke fighting. That moment of, if you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will. No! You know what I mean? Like, that's amazing. I get chills. I've gotten chills from that since I was a kid. Like, such a powerful moment. So cool. Vader finally making a decision. It's really hard.
Was that him taking his last mechanical breath?
Yeah.
Origin versus culmination.
I did it.
You can look now, Selfish Lock. The coast is clear.
I really like the origin stuff. I really like the setup of A New Hope. I just think there are way more powerful individual moments in the other two. And that, I think, is what that, and like, obviously the filming tech got better, the production stuff got better, and the movies just continued to look better and better, which isn't the most important thing, but I think there are just more individual powerful moments in the other two that push them over A New Hope, even though I love the origin and the initial entry points of a story so much, and I think A New Hope does a really good job. I think there's more powerful moments, and I think that's the only thing that edges Return of the Jedi over A New Hope for me. Very powerful moments. All is right in the world, except for Kylaris's list. Yeah, her list will be called Trainwreck. Anyway, no, I appreciate that she has a different opinion. Again, like, I appreciate the different perspectives. Like, Locke, you and I have very similar perspectives on Star Wars, I feel like, in a lot of ways. We have similar,
but not in all ways.
yeah, similar some similar ideas on some of the stuff. But I get why Kylaris has a different opinion. So okay, Kylaris, number 2.
I feel like you should just finish yours out because we know your answers.
Okay, I mean I can.
I'm just saying.
We should end with yours because yours are more.
Unless you want to end with why you think your number one is the most greatest cinematic masterpiece of all time, which you already kind of said.
Yeah, I mean I've mentioned that before, but yeah. So my number 2 is absolutely Return of the Jedi. Very strong moments. Everything to do with Luke and Vader and Palpatine on the Death Star, all fantastic. I like the Han and Leia moments. I appreciate the storytelling in Yoda's death, even though it felt very like, oh hey, I'm walking around and I'm tired, sure, but you know, disappear. You know what I mean? Like that's dead. You know, it just doesn't. That doesn't feel. That never felt really good to me. Like that's another moment where it's like, you could have done better. Something else could have helped move along the idea that Yoda's on his deathbed, not he literally just climbed into it by himself just fine. Like, I don't know. It just feels weird. It's like, oh, I told you what I wasn't supposed to.
More dramatic last word sentence too. Oh my gosh.
Is another guy. Well,
I'm pretty sure the first time I saw that, I was like, "What'd he say?" Like,
yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. And I had to tell you.
Was that English? Was that common?
Nice, Kenobi, and glad to make you happy, man.
Love that line. I mean, yeah, but come on.
I do, but yeah, it just felt like seriously, Yoda was literally just walking.
How about just spend your dying breath saying,
"It's Leia." Leia is your.
It could have been a little more clear and less dramatic, is all I'm saying.
It was just he just died so suddenly. It's like literally I just dropped important plot information and now I have to die.
Bye.
It's like the only thing that killed him was the plot information.
Right.
So that's
what killed him. He really just had to get that off his chest. That was the only thing he was clinging to life for.
Yeah.
And he didn't even make it clear.
I gotta hobble over to this.
Who is it? Sorry, I'm dead.
I was standing right next to you, Luke, but I gotta walk over to this bed and lay down, and suddenly I'm dying really, really fast. Like, I don't know, that just felt weird. But regardless, I can't say too much bad about Return of the Jedi. Again, there are some things that I'm not, I'm just kind of like meh about, whatever. But they're very few and far between compared to all of the really strong elements. And then you have Empire. And there is literally not a movie on this earth that I love more than Empire Strikes Back. The Empire Strikes Back is my quintessential movie. It is top of the board in any list. And it's everything from I love Hoth. I love snow. I love snow. I've always loved snow. I love Hoth. I love what happens on Hoth. I love Luke, like, it's his powers, and he doesn't really have a firm grasp on everything that he's doing, but he's using it. I
don't really like snow or swamps.
Right. I love, and I'm talking about in the Wampa Cave, right? Like, he's not a super trained Jedi at that point. He's had the little bit of training from Obi-Wan, and now he's in uncharted territory for him, and he's doing this all on his own for a couple of years. And like, I love Han going after him. I
appreciate his line with I thought they smelled bad
on the outside. Yeah.
And all the memes of him like running to the store during a snowstorm. Like, did you need anything? I'm going to the store.
Yeah. And
sorry, that has nothing to do with the movie.
And I mean, like, literally everybody telling him, look, dude, you're going to die if you go out there. And he's like, cool, my friend's out in there.
Yeah, that's true.
That to me, Han Solo cemented his character, because in the first one, it's like he's a good guy that's wrapped up in the wrong stuff, and he's in it because he had to survive, right? And you get that impression of him, but now he's met someone he genuinely cares about. This is like his little brother. And that moment where they're like, and it's at the beginning of the movie too, you know what I mean? This is the stuff that really made the original trio feel like a family, and how they did that in a really great storytelling way. They're like, you're gonna die out there, and he's like, I don't care. Great, I'm going to get my friend. You know what I mean? And like, I'm like, yes, like, that moment is fantastic. I love everything about Hoth. I love the AT-ATs. I will not call them AT-ATs. I refuse. I'm sorry. I may call me old school, whatever. I will not call them that. They're AT-ATs. I love that. I love Vader coming in that base. I love him going to Dagobah. I love that moment where Yoda, again, we talked about it with The Rise of Skywalker and that whole thing for full circle with him raising the X-Wing. When he's like trying to raise that X-Wing and he's so frustrated and, you know, he's super powerful and, you know, here he is and he's starting to do it, but his own mental roadblocks and Yoda just straight up slapping him in the face with, you know, I don't believe it. That's why you fail, kid. You know what I mean? I love that. I love Luke failing and still trying. I love Bespin. I love Lando. I really like Lando's character. It's something different than the other people in the group, and yet he falls in with them really quickly, really charismatically, just like his character. He's intelligent. He's cocky. He's just, and yet again, someone with a better heart because he's looking
Some might
out.
say toxic.
Right. Yeah. He's looking out for the people that he's in charge of on this Tabana gas mining colony and stuff. You know what I mean? He takes that very seriously, and it's just I don't know. I love that part. I love the Darth Vader's, you know, Luke, I'm your father reveal. I love Luke's response and what happens. I love him reaching out to Leia and being like, you know, Leia, come help me, you know, and like she senses him in the Force and stuff. And like and she knows where he is. Like, I don't even think that's Luke telling her where he is. I think she knows where he is, which is foreshadowing. I love everything about that movie. It is my favorite movie, hands down. Kylaris.
Okay, no one wants to hear these, but so clearly I have 2 sequel movies left, which is making me think I might have to change my trilogy ranking because of how this turned out.
Right.
Anyway, that's so gross. Anyway, for number 2, what do you think it's gonna be? I've kind of gone back and forth on these at different points, I think.
I'm gonna say
What I have remaining is Rise of Skywalker and The Force Awakens.
I'm gonna say Force Awakens number 1, Rise of Skywalker number 2.
Okay, Raccoon.
Raccoon.
There's an asterisk by my Solo because I've only seen it like twice and I can't remember enough about it or if I liked it that much. Like, I need to watch it more, and so I put an asterisk by it because I can't fairly rank it amongst the others, so it's just on the list. So that one, don't count that against me. Yeah, I think maybe Rise is number 2. Yeah, you guys are right. It's Force Awakens. I left it number 1. Do you remember, Oren, when we took that one like multi-fandom quiz of like Star Wars and Disney and Pixar and Marvel and like Harry Potter? There was like a whole bunch of different things on there, and like it was like a bracketed tournament, and out of all those fandoms, my one standalone movie that was left was The Force Awakens, and I was like, really? I'm like, it was almost like surprising to me that it was that high.
I mean, that's how it's seeded too a little bit, but still.
Sure. So anyway, yes, I'll talk about The Force Awakens then. I think I always like it was I think I liked it because there was a lot of hype for it, and people could argue that there was rehashing of A New Hope and whatever, but I didn't mind that part of it at all. I thought it was done well, and I got what they were going for with that. I can see why people would want something original, but that's just a different direction, you know. Like, I was fine with the direction that they took, and that was before any of the real drama started with the rest of it. And it was just like, I loved the characters. I loved Rey and Finn together, like bonding at the beginning of that before it got all complicated, and just like, I don't know, there was like so much to like about it, and it had so much potential. And I loved the Han Solo, but I loved Han and Chewie coming back to the Falcon. I loved, just like there was so many cool parts of it that just were like, man, this is great. Like it was just there was good action. We got to meet Kylo Ren. Like every part of it was entertaining to me, I think. I don't there's not much bad that I can say about that movie. Now, Rise of Skywalker, conversely, I thought was also great, but there's more bad that I can say about it or understand why people think is bad about it. In the because of everything that happened after like through episodes 8 and 9. Um and just the directions that they took, some of the plot holes, some of the why are they doing that to these characters? Like what there's we all know what all the problems are. We've talked about them and rehashed them. And I'm from the standpoint where I can see all those problems and I get why they're problems, but yet I left that movie going, that was probably like the greatest movie going experience of my life. Like I seriously, like it sounds funny to say, but I literally like laughed, cried,
Hmm.
gasped, like it like pulled so much like emotions out of me, and it was just like a totally well-rounded experience of like just I thought it was just like a cinematic masterpiece when I saw it. I was like, that was awesome. Like when I was like pumped when I left the theater after that, and I was like, that was so cool. And not till later did we like break it down and analyze it, and we saw other people's reviews, and it's like, yeah, I can see what they're saying, whatever. So it kind of like got taken down a notch. I think that would have been my number one if all the rest of that hadn't been exposed per se. But I don't think that The Force Awakens necessarily has all those problems. I think they
Hmm.
could have taken that, like Selfish Lock said, as a launching point for a new trilogy, and it could have went somewhere totally different, and it could have been fantastic, and it could have had a lot less issues across the board for Star Wars fans. And unfortunately, it didn't. But I still, regardless of all those things, I still enjoyed the sequels immensely myself because of my own, because I do rank this a lot on like my experience seeing it for the first time. And like that seems to have a lot of bearing with me on my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, like, and when we came out of the Rise of Skywalker, we all just sat there and just, can I say, emoted, but like we just had
Yeah.
so many emotions. And again, like the more I thought about it afterwards, the more problems I ended up having with it. But as a theater experience, uh, Rise of Skywalker was great in that regard. And yeah, and I know what you're saying though too. Like the Force Awakens, I don't know why OBS is like every once in a while. I like that's weird.
Yeah.
It's bugging me. But anyway, um,
Is your background still changing pictures?
yeah, but it wasn't affecting it earlier, so I don't know why it's doing it now. But anyway, but the Force Awakens, though, you're right. It didn't have the same issues, and while it was derivative, it it also still had enough potential at that point. They like you can't always necessarily hold the rest of it against the Force Awakens, right? They could have.
I agree. I think yours, I was surprised it was all the way down at number 6 because and I felt like and it might not be fair to the other like maybe that's just where it is, but I
Yeah,
felt like to some degree it's a little bit jaded because of where the sequels went.
yeah, yeah. Well, and again, the Force Awakens kind of flip flops with Revenge of the Sith for me. In a way, it just a little bit. It kind of flip flop. I think it really belongs at number 6, but like there's just a little bit of. It's a solid movie. It's just derivative. It's very derivative. There's some things again I would change, um, but I can say that about any of them almost, except for the original trilogy. But you know,
What are you going to be derivative of there? It's the first time. Well, actually, it was derivative of itself when it had a Death Star too.
yeah. Um, I didn't mind the Death Star 2 as much, but it's still they could have done something different. But besides the point, uh, the Force Awakens, the only thing I really don't genuinely dislike about the Force Awakens is Starkiller Base. That was stupid. That should not have been part of the plot. That should not have been a thing. But besides that, even though it was derivative, I liked the character intros. I liked the scenes that we got. I liked their interactions there. That was actually where their interactions felt the most genuine to me in the sequel trilogy is in The Force Awakens. So I can see why that's number 1. it's interesting to me, right? It's interesting to me, um, because I think even when you first saw the prequels, right, but way back in the day, it's like you fell asleep and you weren't really into
Not the
Star Wars.
prequels.
Oh, I thought it was the prequels that
No, I fell asleep during the remastered original,
yeah,
like
yeah,
re-release in the theaters.
yeah.
I don't know which one. It could have been. It could have been Return of the Jedi. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I feel like it might have been. So back to my trilogy ranking. I have the sequels at 1, 2, and 5, and I have the prequels at Oh, you left my. I was looking at my list.
Oh, sorry.
Can you go back?
Yep.
I was trying to see where I. Okay, so 3, 8, and 10, which is weird because it's like I was thinking about before, the prequels as a whole and the entire story arc and what I like about that being an origin story. But when I break it down to like individual movies, I think that they fall much lower. So
I
it's like
mean-
maybe that one needs to go to number 2. Those two are super close. I wasn't sure which way to go.
You can, when we were originally talking about ranking the trilogies as a whole, we are talking about how you feel about them as a
I need an average.
as a single thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it
Well, and I wasn't sure which way to go with that. I kind of needed to like sort
it
through my
doesn't
feelings.
seem unrealistic or unfair to me then that doesn't line up exactly. But
Okay, let me do an average.
okay. Yeah, Starkiller Base is dumb. Anakin blowing up the blockade ship in Episode 1 had Death Star Starkiller vibes to it. A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. That felt a little like, like, oh, Luke, you got to shoot these proton torpedoes down this tiny little, like, ventilation shaft. You know what I mean? A little bit. Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's just like, okay, why is this reactor that could blow up the entire ship? Why is that at the end of the hangar? Why is that at the end of the starfighter hangar? That's not a great place to put it. Wouldn't you think it'd be in the middle of the ship? Where it'd be more protected? That felt very plot devicey to me. Like, that's plot convenience. But overall, I didn't mind that part. He was a natural flyer, but who are these engineers fired? Yeah, they were on the ship, so don't worry about it. She searched her feelings. She knows them to be true. Yeah, in The Rise of Skywalker, you can hear Ahsoka's voice, but Disney said she's alive. So Disney said she's alive in Mandalorian time frame. The Mandalorian takes place just a couple years after Return of the Jedi, whereas The Rise of Skywalker takes place more than 30 years later. So it's very likely that they mean for Ahsoka to be dead at that point. And she would be pretty old by then too, because Vader was in his 40s when he died in Return of the Jedi. So even if you put Ahsoka in, like, say, her 30s at that point at Return of the Jedi, and then jump forward 30 some years, 60s or 70s, and her job isn't exactly a very safe one. So I don't know.
I mean, if you're taking averages of my list and you're like assigning points by like what number rank they are, like the original trilogies do better than the prequels for me because 2 of my prequels are so low.
But again, like, how do you feel about them? I don't think that's necessarily wrong. How do you?
I think it's very still close, but I think, I don't know, maybe sequels edge out prequels just barely when I think about, because like, you're right, I do base it a lot on my viewing experience and whatever. The Clone Wars movie, we did watch that one, and I would probably put it dead last.
So you're saying sequels, prequels, original?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, they're like tied for me. They're just different, you know? It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the Clone Wars movies. Yeah, we aren't basing the series on our feelings of the movie, but we did watch that.
The clone. Oh, it was bad. It was
Make it a number 12.
really bad. It was really bad. I'm not gonna lie. Like in a way, I guess I can like sort of understand why people like it, but I almost kind of feel like the people who really like that are either such diehard Star Wars fans and were like starving at the time for anything Star Wars new visually, or like, you know, kind of younger, because I feel like it was almost, you know, kind of targeted at a younger audience, right? And I was older when that came out. I was an older teen, I think, when that came out ish. And I've never been much, you know, I don't watch a lot of TV to begin with, and then I haven't always, you know, cartoons. I feel like I got kind of over cartoons uh maybe at an earlier age, I don't know, but like uh it just watching it when we watched it a couple months ago or a month ago, whatever it was just bad. It was it was really bad. And I'm like, oh, this is one of the reasons why originally I just could not stand Ahsoka. Oh, so you guys all know kind of my feelings on Ahsoka. I think it's like I don't mind Ahsoka as a character in general, because again, I can separate a character
Based off of just the Clone Wars movie
Oh,
being what you know of her.
terrible,
Like, yeah, I could see that.
terrible. But so I can separate a character from what happens to the character in the plot, right? And so Ahsoka as a character, I really like, and I understand why she's so popular. What happens with Ahsoka is somewhat interesting. I just hate the fact that she's Anakin's Padawan. And I know you guys have all told me like that gets explained and whatever, but like there's if that were the case, Anakin's turning to the dark side hinged so much on him finding information about how to save his wife that he was sure that was going to happen. And I mean, that was probably Palpatine manipulating him, but like one of the reasons why he couldn't get into the restricted section, if you will, of the Jedi archives is because he wasn't a master, and he wasn't a master because he didn't train an apprentice, and he didn't train an apprentice. We never hear anything about even his failure, and not that the Jedi are like, you know, I'm gonna rub this in your face, you know, you failed, Anakin, let's take you down a few pegs. But I mean, like, they don't even.
How many episodes do we have about that?
Yeah, it doesn't come up. They don't remind him of it, you know what I mean? Because the initial intention was Anakin never had a Padawan. He's been a knight on his own, not really a Padawan of Obi-Wan's, for only like 3 years. And he's supposed to have already started training a Padawan. And I know it doesn't all go down perfect, but it just feels weird. I don't know. Take a seat, young Skywalker. You know it, yeah. I pretend that movie doesn't exist. Yeah. So I mean, that's really like, I love Ahsoka as a character. I think she's really interesting. I like her character. I don't like that she's Anakin's Padawan. I would have preferred a different.
Hey, that Rob guy.
Hello.
That is number 1.
Phantom Menace 90. You know I'm getting tired when I can't even talk. Phantom Menace number 1. Nice. Yeah, I've got Phantom Menace at number 4. I like Phantom Menace. I do. I think a lot of people dislike it for a lot of very viable reasons, but yeah, I like Phantom Menace. Jack Cates, hello. Do you guys like Nostalgic Critic? I have not heard of that. That's interesting. Is that like a YouTube channel, or is that another Twitch channel? Jar Jar Binks is so funny. Hi, Jesse. How are ya?
We've already had some people in tonight saying that they did like Jar Jar. So
YouTube commentator.
Opinions of all kinds going on here.
YouTube commentator, cool. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the suggestion. Jar Jar, I have mixed feelings about. We were talking about that earlier. I feel very bad for the actor. He landed a part in Star Wars and got paid a lot of money for it, and I would take it. I would take the same opportunity. I think Jar Jar had his part. I think they needed someone to take the fall in being manipulated by Palpatine and doing what he did. I really, really, really wish Jar Jar had been Darth Plagueis. I think everything from his goofy behavior to all of that, as a
Like-
manipulation,
Surely that must be a front for something more.
right? As a manipulation is fantastic. I would have loved if he was Darth Plagueis. That would have saved the character to me for sure. Yeah. Axelrod, hello.
Okay, so I'm about to post my list in the Discord.
Cool.
Cool. So anyone else who is in our Discord, which is for subscriber only, feel free to put your list in there. I would love to read through them all and we can continue the discussion there.
Lock. But yeah. Whew, man. We've been going for 3.5 hours.
I know, right?
I knew this topic was going to be a big one. I wish Murph would have been able to be around, especially for the end of this, because he'd have
posted his list in the Discord. So
yeah. Cool. All right, you guys. This is I think we're gonna wrap it up. It is 12:43 where we're at right now, and we've been like I said, we've been going for 3 hours 32 minutes. It's quite the just chatting. Oh, is that Ben?
yeah, I'll keep an eye.
Okay.
In summary, we don't have one number rank that is the same.
Which is interesting. That's super interesting to me. That's really cool. It has been a blast talking about all this with you guys. 3.5 hour just chatting is nuts. That's crazy. And we had a lot of people, a lot of our community show up for this. Even if they couldn't make it through the whole thing, because like Murph was like, dude, I'm gonna fall asleep. That's fair. He lasted a long time. But yeah, fun idea for a stream. Interesting listening to hear you guys explain. Yeah, for sure, Tuna. Thank you for coming too. Thanks all you guys for telling us what you think. I think it's really interesting to hear the different perspectives, you know what I mean? And we've heard about where Kenobian the first movie he saw okay. The first movie he saw, and kind of how that shaped his perspective on it too. Kylaris, how that shaped her perspective on what her favorite Star Wars movies are and everything. And it's interesting to hear kind of where everybody's at, because the big thing that has always really brought this group together, this community, is Star Wars, right? I don't know if there's a whole lot of people in this community that haven't watched it at all, and and don't like Star Wars. So yeah, it's been a fun first just chatting stream to go over all of that. It's interesting to see how everybody falls on that ranking. So we will definitely be posting our ranks to the Discord. We definitely encourage you guys to post yours if you're part of our Discord channel. It's just so fun. So even if you're not part of the Discord too, you can also tweet at me. My Twitter is right up in the top middle of the screen there, and then I will also link that in the chat.
I just had to tuck our son back in, who's 5, and it was funny because he's wearing some Join the Dark Side Darth Vader pajamas.
Yep.
Yes.
It's been a very Star Wars evening for us. So next, let's rank people we know. Maybe a new family Christmas tradition. Oh jeez, no.
That's not going to start any trouble.
Yeah, right. Sure.
So anyway.
Oh, hold on. Yeah.
I don't know if it all is gone, but
hold on. Tuna said, fun idea for a stream. Interesting listening to hear you guys explain and how everyone has their reasons of why one is better than the other. Yeah, for sure. They're different perspectives. And then Locke said, even though it has ruined our friendship, it was a good run.
So if you guys enjoyed this just chatting, let us know if you'd like to see more of this. Not all the time, obviously, but once in a while. We could do more Star Wars content. Star Wars.
Star Wars.
We even talked about possibly, we've got some I don't know, like Star Wars trivia games or something. Like we could like do some kind of game or some kind of thing that would just like drum up conversation. And we could also branch into other fandoms. Like obviously we know a lot about Harry Potter. We've talked to Murph a little bit about Lord of the Rings. There could be other rankings, let's just talk about this. So if you guys like that stuff and you have any ideas, you can always message us that or put it in the Discord and we'll take that into consideration because this was fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like the idea of trivia night? Yeah. It could be cool.
I think it's fun sometimes, like I mentioned during the Fallen Order stream, it's like Twitch when we're building a community on Twitch, right? You tend to think of it as a lot about games and everything, but the game is really almost kind of like a campfire, right? You say, "Hey, come to the campfire." And you build the campfire, and the campfire is kind of the focal point, and everybody's kind of watching it. But really, they're not there just for the campfire. They're there to hang out with people, to talk. You know what I mean? Like the campfire is really just kind of the excuse to sit around all together. You know what I mean? And so I think it's really fun to have some streams where we just talk. You know what I mean? We get to know each other better. We talk about stuff that we're all interested in, and I think that's just fun. Spleen talk with Prof. Yeah.
We can probably work out something like, I don't think we have anything high tech, but we at least have some kind of Star Wars trivia game. I'm looking at our like thing of board
Do you
games
really
right
want
now.
to do that though? Because tell the story about this the last time you played a Star Wars trivia game with me.
If there were enough people in chat to play, we could almost like read questions and like they could play in chat. Like whoever answers it first correctly gets points or something, and I could like keep track of it. Like we could work something out like that, and it could be like a community game,
Like
not just
point,
like an orange show off game.
I could even keep like a point system. Yeah, so yeah, we won't talk about Star Wars trivia game. So one time I played Star Wars Trivial Pursuit with against Kylaris and Locke. Like they were a team and it was me on the other team only. And
sometimes when you play trivia games or like any kind of board game and you're like, there's either the rules where if you get a question right, you keep rolling and you get another turn, and then if you play until you get it wrong. Sometimes it's like you just go back and forth no matter what. Well, we unfortunately decided to do the if you get it right, you keep going method. Go on.
They got the opportunity to try and answer one question, and I stole it from them and proceeded to answer every single question after that and won the game.
It was so fun. That's the game I'm talking about. It's like Trivial Pursuit Star Wars like DVD edition or something. But I think there's like a box of card questions in there too we could use.
It's great. It's great. It was like, how many times did Jabba blink?
Yeah, like that's the question we got. If you got all the other ones.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, this was really fun. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. Obviously, that's how we could go 3 hours and 39 minutes. And,
And he got what's Luke's last name.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly how I remember it, Selfish Slack, for sure.
Rhymes with Pie Talker. Yeah. Yep. Cool. Well, hey, we appreciate all you guys coming and hanging. Thanks very much. Such a great community to come and like chat with us about this. Love to hear your opinions. And yeah, we will be back on Friday night, 9 p.m. US Eastern time. We'll be playing some more Overwatch. And we're gonna work with Kenobian to get the cooking stream going as soon as possible. And again, I know several people in the community have their points. Don't feel like if you want to redeem the cooking stream, if that's what you're looking forward to, don't feel like you need to hold on to that. You are able to redeem that. We're just going to have to schedule it in a way that it works for everybody.
Basically, you'll just be getting online.
Yep. So we think we've got it worked out what Kenobian would like us to cook. And then we just got to figure out when we can make that possible. So, and we've got a couple of new ideas for recording as well. So hopefully the quality will be up a little bit at least as compared to the last one. So we're trying to make little changes here and there. So can I redeem my points to re-rank Star Wars movies? Nope. You can link your ranking, Locke. I'd love to see your ranking.
Mhm.
But yeah. So anyway. So yeah. We will see you guys hopefully on Friday. And again, thank you so much. Hope you have a great one.
Yeah, have a good week, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Take it
Bye.
easy. Music.